group, so it's fascinating to hear her.
Our window into
Turn left onto Highway 99.
has been very small, and this trial will blow that open in a lot of ways.
So how did she end up on the stand against Keith? What happened?
Well, so here's her story. Sylvie is from the UK. She's
Come on, man.
Show jumper.
It's
When she's
good.
18
You
years
can
old,
go.
she meets Claire Bronfman, who was part of
It's
it at the time, and also a
He's
competitive
thinking
show
it's
jumper.
no
She
entry.
started
No, you
in
can
Europe.
enter.
Claire invites her to
It's
come
a
to the US
safe.
to train with her.
He was
And
taking
then,
too long.
Sylvie
jeez.
agrees.
Oh my God! Oh!
She
Oh! Oh my fucking God! Oh!
becomes part of
Oh my God!
That trucker knew what he was doing.
Oh Jesus Christ!
I didn't want to witness
So how
that.
did she go?
No, me neither.
Oh!
Silly cow, pull over.
Oh my
Can't
God!
smell his rubber and his brakes.
Oh!
Yeah.
2015. She's approached
Are
by
you all
another
right?
woman.
I'm okay. I'm okay. Everyone's okay. Holy shit!
On joining
Well,
this
that's
group,
it
which
now.
she's
We've been
Oh.
on. Slow down. The nutters on the friggin' road.
Holy Jesus!
Get a drink of water, Rodney.
Ugh.
You're just telling the other guy to hurry up.
Very similar
Yeah.
to the pitch that Sarah
Get
was
some
given.
water.
Yeah, give me.
And she
It's
said
right
in
there.
order for you to join, you have to hand over collateral.
Smell
The
the
collateral
rubber.
ends up being a letter that she writes to her parents, falsely confessing that she's a prostitute. The letter
That
includes
was
a naked picture
that
of
was an
herself.
angel there that
And
whooshed
she
that
becomes
car
part of
out.
this world.
If it
She
had
has to
clipped
come
it
on
one
as a
side,
No way
the
it
car would
is.
have gone
Readiness drills
hit
where she has
us,
to respond
spun
to
around and hit
messages,
us.
Why didn't
Man in
he-
that truck
Oh.
was
Oh.
amazing the way he.
And this is
He
before
must
Sarah
just
became
break
part
a
of DOS.
fraction,
This is
that's
2
all,
years
so he wouldn't
before
shift his
Sarah
back.
became part
Why
of DOS,
couldn't
which
he
means
wait?
that
Oh my God.
we discovered that DOS had been around for a while before it all fell apart.
And it's interesting to remember
All right.
that
Okay,
he
I'm
is
good.
not
Okay,
openly
I just moved
involved
the
in
window a
DOS.
bit. Okay,
That
take
it's
the
a
energy.
woman
Watch
who
their
is
highway.
asking Sylvie
wanna
to
drive
join
now?
a women's only group.
Do you want me to
And
drive,
that was
but-
the story of DOS until now. That it had nothing to do with Keith.
Yeah, well, interestingly, Keith's defense lawyer, in his opening statements, admits that Keith actually was at the head of DOS, so that he is now claiming that Keith actually created DOS.
I don't know how they missed
why he created it is different.
I don't know how they got away with
Created
it.
I.
to help women
Oh, they
in
did.
their personal growth.
They
So
did.
they're no
And there was
longer
an
making
angel
the claim.
watching everybody, that's
Not part
why.
of it, you know,
Why did he
interestingly,
go?
when
He
this
didn't have
story
enough
about
time.
DOS
It's all right.
broke,
It's all right.
First guy made it.
Posted.
No, but I had a vision that was
Current
going to get
road
him
for more
too.
than
Oh, that was
50
so
kilometers.
close.
Close doesn't come to it, it was like a fraction of an
It was
Part of the group
less than a
doesn't
foot.
belong to the group. That story is obviously
It was
And it was
3
like-
inches maybe.
Made
Yeah.
Not
the
even.
point that Keith was not involved in
Yeah.
DOS.
We're gonna look at it tonight, okay?
Changed in
12,
their messaging.
12, 16.
12,
So,
16.
15,
just
12,
going back to
215.
Sylvia's experience,
speed
very
limit
soon
on
after
the
Yeah,
joining,
all right.
Yeah,
Monica
please,
tells
but
her
you've been
you
going
need to
really
see
fast and passing a lot of people too much.
Sort of
Okay.
tries to stall for a bit. Monica prods her. She sends a message to Keith saying, "You look really hot in your glasses."
Fuck.
And Keith responds,
I thought he was gonna hit him.
and asks her to send a photo. She sends a photo of her
Smack.
face. He says, "I want you to send
Like-
something more vulnerable." And there's an exchange back and forth where she keeps sending more and more photos. He has her sending a topless photo, and then eventually she says, "I basically."
And there was
sent
another
a
truck
photo
behind
without
him
my
too,
face,
right? That
just
big
my
truck.
vagina.
So he had to slam on his big too. Imagine that, would have been a freaking pileup. Oh, fuck, yeah, it didn't happen, nothing happened,
Nothing
right?
happened. Everybody got out.
Has her
got it on
undressed,
camera,
lies
too.
down
I
on
did,
bed,
yeah.
and Keith proposes
2:15.
She said she felt disgusting. She says it lasted what felt like forever. But she said she felt like she couldn't say stop because this collateral was there. And I should say that not only was the initial collateral there, but her master, Monica, told her that she had to strengthen.
Yeah,
her
and we should
collateral
be
every
there
month.
within
She continued
2
to
hours.
give over other potentially damaging information
Oh, sorry.
in order to strengthen that bond.
When
no.
did Sylvie
Just-
get out of Nexium and DOS?
Interestingly, Sylvie stayed in Nexium.
Yeah, I should just thought we
Past
did,
the
but now I
moment
figured it
that
out.
Sarah and
Maybe
left
going on that
past the
road,
moment
that's
the
why.
New York Times article came out. Nexium was kind of collapsing and DOS was collapsing around her, and eventually she packed up and left where she was living in Albany and went back to the UK.
And I guess it wasn't until she was in the UK that she started to really unpack everything that had
And
happened.
she says she's still trying to, what she says, get her brain back.
Okay, so the next witness was a guy named Mark Vicente, who you and I tried really hard to get on the podcast. I mean, I think
Yeah, he's
months
also
of
been
us
rubber
making
like
phone
yourself.
calls and
Oh
trying to
yeah,
connect.
that guy was like,
What's
I'm getting in an
fascinating
accident.
about Mark is that
That guy
he's
thought for
very
sure he was
passionate
gonna hit that car.
He is the filmmaker.
I don't know how he didn't hit. Like,
Recruited Sarah.
He knew what he was like. He must have swerved a little bit on the left, and he slammed on his brake. He probably saw ahead of time that this guy was gonna freaking cross. So he was probably thinking, okay, I gotta start slowing down, start braking right now, right? Maybe, you know.
So there's a lot
Who
of
knows?
similarities between the two of them.
It
now you
didn't
finally
happen,
get a
right?
chance to hear Mark Vicente's story. So,
like Bob said, it was a name.
Yeah, I'm gonna slow down now. I'm gonna go to the speed limit.
Prosecution brought him because he was so high up in the
Yeah, like
organization.
we're not in a rush. We're
No,
taking time.
I know. I was thinking like it would be nice to get there at like 4:30,
But it's not worth
get
it.
out, and stretch our legs, go for a dip, you know.
Friends, and at times they would speak every single day.
we heard they were best friends. And
But
he
we're
gave up
staying there
Twilight,
for 3
right?
nights,
He's
right?
No, this is one night.
filmmaker in LA. To move
Oh,
down.
I thought this was we're going. Oh, so we're going to Vancouver after, but this is the longest stretch, and
Yes.
that's the last. Okay, the next one is 2.5 hours or something.
Not even
Not
probably.
even. That's good.
So we can like kind of. I was thinking tomorrow we can kind of get up and have a look around Whistler, and, you know.
Conversation with other people, like in conversation with Alice and Mac, was shot by Mark Vicente.
Well, one might say if you believe that there's an essential creativity that's within the fabric of the universe, or a type of micro-uncertainty.
So, Mark Vicente.
So I
he's
took
on
the
stand,
timestamps around
tells you a lot
4:15
about how
today.
Nexi works, but he also gets
Because the clock on there is still on
So at one
Winnipeg. I
point
didn't
they
bother to
asked
update it.
him to read
Oh,
the
I
mission
see.
statement, the 12-point
4:15,
Nexium
okay.
mission statement. It's
That's why
something
you
that is
said
read
4:15, I
at the
didn't
beginning of
understand.
every Nexium
Mhm.
class. So he's read this hundreds, maybe thousands of times before. They say, can you just read it in your head? And he sits there and reads it, and the courtroom falls silent for about a minute. And then he suddenly just breaks down, crying. And he says, it's a fraud. It's a lie.
all this, and it's only been 30 days of testimony. There's 6 more weeks expected. It's going to be fascinating to hear what else comes out of this, but I'm also really curious to know what Sarah thinks about all this.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about right now. She's entering.
That
our
was
Vancouver
funny,
Street.
wasn't it, eh?
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi, Josh.
Next time we stretch, I'll have bandanas in the front. Well, it's kind of nice to sit in the front, but we're gonna.
Just take it while you get it.
That's true. Yeah,
I'm very honored.
definitely.
Okay, so
From that climb to that.
back in Toronto.
From yesterday when we went hiking.
Yeah.
I want to tell
Yeah.
you about it. I've just been deeply. Kathleen and I have had a conversation.
I'm gonna get a lot of fake internet points for that.
How's it being a new mom again?
It's like
Oh,
amazing
that video.
and crazy and
Did you say fake?
very, very healing for me to be.
You upload them to Reddit, and if it's a good, like if it's good, people put you up.
It's not why.
It's just fake internet
But
points is like
the
a.
side, the silver lining and bonus is that I just get to be present and stare into the eyes of a beautiful new soul, and that's just a great way to put everything.
Is that Abby
So you're
or
not
is
in
it
from
someone
like
else?
I just let off, so it
It's
could
Rod.
be me.
Tell me a little bit about those conversations. What are they like?
I had my pooties. I had my pooties, and my farts won't stink anymore. Right?
You had a poo?
I had my pooties, so I won't be farting.
Is that them up there?
Yeah.
I look at how slow they're going now.
To give. He's like, yeah,
Don't say anything when you go by.
Wow.
One of the white cars.
Bloody accident looking at you. Don't
They just had a momentary lapse.
just send them tons of energy because obviously they must have been shook up. I'd have stopped. But did they not realise?
They may not have realized.
just adore him.
Because they didn't go through with any sort of urgency. Like, that was the problem. They just kind of like shuttled their way through.
In terms of what they've been reporting, what
It was a caution lights, right? It was flashing yellow, so then you
there's
go
definitely
in your own cautious,
because
cautious, whatever.
went underway when we were asked to shoot each other. And last
Woke us all up, eh?
I was falling off my plate.
back. This is somebody that
Yeah, I think that is them.
she's the last
Bloody
person.
lucky that I got the back end ripped off.
She's just very.
But the truck, he must have been a really good truck driver because
I'm sure you must have seen it all.
He didn't do any damage.
The truck driver? Or?
The truck driver, I'm sure you must have seen it all, driving in like in these areas,
I mean, I always thought her running
Well,
was
what was the smell? The rubber or his
Rubber,
brake?
yeah.
The rubber.
The truck driver locked the whole thing up. He's like, holy fuck, I'm going to hit this car.
the things that I could.
And I think it is that white car, isn't it?
He saved himself and everybody else too.
Just break.
I hope he's got a dash cam as well so he gets the bloody fella reported.
No, it was just it wasn't,
Didn't get ran.
they didn't do it on purpose, Mom. It was just who knows, maybe they've been driving for 8 hours and they just had a momentary lapse.
Not.
Yeah.
That's all it takes, right?
well, then I think it was interesting.
Because it wasn't like they were
intersected with yours.
it wasn't like they were racing him. They kind of went through it, right?
Said, that
I think that's
I didn't realize how far the trip was.
scheduled, and I know you had talked
How
about
close it
how
was.
you had heard other women were about to be branded right at the time that you were leaving, and you were frantically calling people to warn them not to do it. And this is the first time I've heard.
Yeah, I think it is.
Other end of that.
Yeah.
That
Such a
that's
bad-
conscious on it.
No.
Oh, well, if it had hit him, we would have known, Mom.
Oh yeah.
Leave the group and the branding ceremony.
The truck I was scared of. It was right by us.
That's.
Oh, the truck driver would have been
I
fine.
wonder if they're together.
Like I don't
No,
know
the
how
SUV
many other
no.
sessions
Okay.
were stopped.
One of the arguments that the defense, that Mark Flow,
No, probably not, because they always follow the SUV closer, right?
was to say, look, we're hearing from the prosecution these stories about coercion and manipulation, but these are adults, successful adults, well-educated adults that are part of this group, and the relationships between these women and Keith are consensual. What's your response to that?
It's
Older
tricky
than ever
because
you're still 911.
I don't think
Yeah.
Across Canada.
Yeah.
somebody walking in and just hearing about all of these people and other players and their relationships and
What's in the red bag that she
nuances
keeps
of
pointing
this community
to?
understood very easily.
She knows there's a diaper in there, her Tylenol is in there, there's syringes in there, she knows her CP cup goes in there and stuff, right?
You know, and his whole opening statement in general I found brilliant, and yet it's very
That's good.
background with his words.
With what specifically?
Well,
No, mommy, no.
I mean, specifically things like believing in
Just to explain those two groups, his lawyer is a great performer, and
Snatch up the
orator, and
cigarette.
those two moments
She's putting her hand up
quoted
quick.
from To Kill a
Where's
Mockingbird
mommy?
said, in
You have-
order to
you have
understand
them.
this
Where's
story, you
mommy?
have to crawl
have them.
inside the skin.
Mommy's
That's how I think the story to his eyes in order to understand is
Mom, you know.
To Kill a
Yeah.
Mockingbird book. At the end of it, the messenger drove argument, which was compared the situation he was in to the Battle of Dunkirk.
Yeah, she likes those funny little cheers.
That British were retreating, and he very dramatically said,
say anything
"This
that
is
tastes
my
like
island.
noise,
I am
you know?
defending, and I will, to my last breath, defend Keith Raniere and his good faith and the way he acted with good intent." And so, you know, it was a powerful performance.
I'm sure he's a very, very good actor. And I know he's got a job to do, and I commend him for that. And I hope he wins an Emmy. However, I mean, I'm laughing
She
because
wants to
partly
play
because
with
I think
you,
it's ridiculous,
Jenny.
and also it's
Putting her hands
offensive
up
all
again.
at the same time. That he would people and somehow link him to those people, and that's something
Yeah.
he did a lot. He would reference great leaders and put himself in a very subtle, faux humble way on the same level as those leaders. And specifically to answer your question about the relationships, these relationships were consensual. Maybe, or really, did any of these women
They must
any
be
of them
traveling
sign up
together.
Yeah.
to move to Albany?
One didn't want to miss
to
the other
put their
one, right?
dreams
Yeah.
in acting, show jumping,
That's what I'm
hockey,
thinking, right?
or
That's what
whatever
I
their
said.
dreams were,
Mhm.
put them aside to become.
Yeah, no, I was agreeing
No,
with you.
no,
Yeah.
I- yeah,
members,
I know.
or they could only sleep with them
Mummy, play
and
with
nobody
them.
else, which by the way was shocking in the opening statement, and he admitted to that. That was the rule. Those are the rules. When you're with Keith, those are the rules. You can't be with anyone else. You can only be with him. No, first of all, the rule is ridiculous. Like, let's talk about that for a second. You know, the way that he's dismissing and normalizing things that are just not acceptable. That's what got me upset.
Right, and I think it sounds like the tactic that Martin Nicholas is taking the argument is, look, these things might not be normal. I'm not saying it's a conventional way of behaving, it's conventional to have these kind of ground rules in a relationship, but it doesn't rise to the level of criminality. The participants in it agree to
All around the car. I think there's like 50 cents on there, maybe.
that's reprehensible.
Left.
That's a personal
Buy
opinion,
me
but not a
something.
legal one.
Well, what I don't know if they've really punched yet is the concept that a lot of the things that women consented to, for example, me getting branded, was because my collateral was on the line. And that's the other ridiculous point that I want to make here is that he says, oh, well, it was never released. It was never released. Therefore, there's no bad intent. Actually, in my opinion, like, think about this logically for a second. If they were never planning on releasing it, then Keith just wants to hold on to these pictures.
Right, and then I think maybe the other question about
Like,
that
he's 5'7",
is,
but
does
it's
the
weird.
intent to release them or not
It doesn't
matter? So could
like
you
we're
make the same
moving,
argument
right?
about
We're clearly
the gun to
moving, and
someone's head
the
and never intended
It's
to
not
shoot
going to take us 3 hours to go 188 kilometers. I don't care how fucking
yeah,
slow we're
and it's
going.
going down 185.
How far is it now over there?
We'll have to see.
Another hour and a half, probably.
When the
Hey.
polling
About another hour and a half, I think.
I want to ask you because the last time
You're all right
I
in the back
spoke to
still,
you
then?
Yeah.
on the podcast,
Are
it
you all
was
right in the back
at a
still?
point
Yeah.
when 6 of the next
You're just like, yeah,
witnesses
okay.
were arrested.
I wasn't sure.
Waiting
Okay.
to see what happened. They were all heading towards the trial, but
Yeah.
695 of those 6 all five women that were
I
arrested.
know.
Yes.
I know.
Oh,
And I
yes.
wanted to
You
ask
need to
what
take a turn
those
two in the
feels
back,
like.
absolutely. That's why I was kind of like, try it.
You know, a couple
Anybody
things.
want
I
any
think
snacks?
one, hearing
No,
Lauren's
not really.
reading,
I just want proper
say,
food. Do you want anything to eat?
It was a great sense of closure. At the time I just given birth, I found out that basically she was admitting that she lied to me and that she took things from me under the premise of the false assumption that I had this was a women's group when she knew full well that Keith was the leader. And, you know, this has been 2 years of me saying, hey, world, I'm standing up for this. This is not okay. This is what happened. And
Watch for livestock.
while most of society around me is very supportive, it's still important for
Out of
me
the
that my
vehicle
connection
hits
to the
livestock
community,
from where the
especially
farm
through Lauren and
land
everyone
runs,
around her has
they
been saying
get
the opposite.
fined for it?
Sarah's the liar.
Well, that
Sarah
Depends. I mean, if it's an accident, it's an accident,
blah
right?
blah blah blah.
I know in
That's
Canada,
really
I know
hard
in
for me.
Manitoba,
All these friends of
if
mine
there's
who
an
still
animal
exist
that's
inside the community,
on the side of the road and a
think
truck
that
hits
of
them,
me
it's
as
the
much as I
farmer's
can
fault.
say. I don't
Well, it
care.
all depends. If
I still do. I still do, and I want to be.
if the farmer did something that, like, man, come on, you clearly knew your cow could wander onto the road and get hit,
It's been countered now
right?
by
Now
law.
they're responsible. But if the cow smashes down a fence, right, and doesn't behave in a normal way, like that you would
Yeah, that's
expect,
right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
Right? Like, or if if your dog escapes, if your dog escapes and when it gets out and get hit by a car, you're probably not at fault. But if you
No,
just let them
but
into the
I've-
yard, yeah.
Like I
A
said, I don't
farm animal, like
Yeah, any
horse.
animal you're responsible for.
know how much she actually.
The only reason
The
I say
owners,
yeah,
yeah.
the only reason I say dog is because MPI sued someone whose dog ran out into the traffic and caused
I hope she
and the guy
has.
hit it
I hope all of
and
them
caused
have.
damage
I
to
really
the car.
hope that spending a year away from Keith in their ear telling them what to do and head fucking them has, and with, you know, food and sleep and being away from all that control has allowed them to heal and take a step back and recognize that what they were doing was definitely not good. But my
Looks like
sense,
they could be
just
stallions
intuitively,
on their horse
from what
there.
I
Just
read,
a horse,
is
there wasn't a riding.
is sorry.
Right, horse.
I don't know about the others. Definitely not Claire. I do not think that it's apologetic or sincere in any way. And if she had her way, I would be in jail right now. I think she thinks that she's doing the right thing to protect Keith.
Knowing
It looks like, it sounded like there's a lot of hookers
Oh
behind
my
it.
gosh.
manipulated and doctored.
I
Do you
know.
feel like
Sucks, I know. There you go. Call that it.
in that same way?
I don't think anyone signed up to be part of a harem or to be a henchman or henchwoman for Keith. I don't think any one of us would
This guy wanted to pass, but she
or
didn't put a signal light, so he didn't put a signal light on, right?
But they
See
crossed
who's
the
driving
line.
as we go by?
Yeah, that's exactly what's
Marks.
No, this,
I'm not gonna answer that.
With East India, eh?
Do you feel sorry for them?
yeah. I would say 60.
I do. I don't want anyone to be.
I would have given him about your
I
age.
can't imagine.
Mine was maybe 35, 40.
But I also think that they need to be held accountable for their actions.
Hey? The man driving.
Yeah, it was a man driving, yeah.
Really,
It looked like more of he was an Asian guy.
East Indian is what I saw. I just saw his arm, but yeah.
he ruined their lives.
Like I looked at his face, like he was
Oh,
looking
yeah?
right at me when I was looking at him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because he was probably like, hey.
Like, you guys saw
I
that?
should want to make sure
I should have been like,
feel
yeah.
vindicated. I feel sad for them. I feel sad for their families. Like Lauren's grandparents, they're so sweet. Allison's parents, who I became, quite close with her mom.
And those were nice
They're
and
dealing
long,
with
but
this.
now like
How
it's kind of like
horrendous to watch your
half of
daughter
them gone
find out
already.
that your daughter's been with this disgusting man. That must be awful. So I feel really sad for everybody involved. And at the same time, I'm glad that they are feeling and experiencing the
Yeah,
effects
please
of
don't let
their
her.
actions. It's not okay to treat people
She's
like that.
trying.
You should lie to them.
She's trying, yeah. She's trying to bust open the bag.
Get
She's
those,
like, she's
get
like,
those honey bears.
she's like
As a second witness.
putting your
The
finger,
expression on her face, like,
At the beginning of his testimony,
concentration, like I could figure this out, I could get this
the
undone.
12-point mission statement in his
to.
head, actually.
That water. Oh, it's nice.
Broke down my head. And I wondered, could you understand why? I think for
Well, I
some
haven't had a
people
proper
they've had a difficult
lunch.
understanding, you know,
Well, we'll get-
ability to
yeah,
address and hang around why
But she had lots
so
of
upset.
Holy hell, nice.
Well, I haven't talked to him about it because we're not allowed to speak, but I mean, I've had moments like that, and I'm just like, oh my, it's like an embarrassment and a level of shame that I've never experienced at any other point in my life.
It's so hard to find out the
Because
age of the
it's
Asian people.
reading it or saying something
Yeah.
like that, I can
Very
imagine
hard.
juxtaposed with our memory
Like the
of
guys
how
at
we
my
used to
work,
say it. You know, with our zealous
and freaking David's like
Cheshire cat grins on our face.
Very
You know,
nice.
success
It's a waterfall.
is an internal state of clear,
Oh,
honest knowledge of
beautiful.
what I am, my value in the world,
Gosh.
and my responsibility.
There's somebody
for the way I react to
raft
all
at the
things.
bottom there.
We
Or a
felt
kayak.
fucking awesome
Beautiful.
reading that at some point.
There's like, guess how old
This was our
guess
mission
how old
statement.
he is.
This
I
was
know
our
how old he is.
credo.
Guess how old he
It
is.
made
And
sense
he's like,
in the construct
the
of
guy's
what
like,
we believed we were doing.
yeah.
And then
Like,
when you
guess how old I
sit back
am, right?
and have
Like,
the ahas and epiphanies and awarenesses that Mark and I and so many of us have
that
had,
was really nice.
which is we've removed the base
Tall,
assumption
just
underneath
how
our
the
whole
water's
belief system that Keith is not a genius. He's not this incredible, intelligent, noble humanitarian man that's changing the world. It's in fact the opposite. It crumbles everything,
Fire
including the mission statement.
came
And now
true.
the mission statement
Yeah, I've seen a lot of
is
those. I was thinking
salad.
it was
It's
I don't
total
think it was
hogwash.
this
It
year.
doesn't make any
It
sense.
was like maybe a few years
It's
ago, a couple years
manipulative.
ago, maybe, Brett.
You know, talking about keeping all the money, making as much money as possible within our success plan, and what is that line? I tried to block this out, Josh.
Oh, she blew up the bag.
I pledge to ethically control as much of the money, wealth, and resources of the world as possible within my success plan. The ethical control of these things, blah, 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 blah. Basically saying, like, we're going to try to make as much money as we can and keep it within the community so that it's controlled ethically. That's the summary. And it's like, you know,
We almost,
only
instead
one
of out the
12
back, we
points.
almost should have
That
put it
in and
on
of
the
itself
side
is
and then
triggers.
just whatever we were driving
so
beside, we could have caught,
imagine
you know what I
seeing
mean?
these things,
Oh yeah.
knowing that we were duped.
I thought of it too.
And we were out there doing intensives in Hollywood with A-list stars,
Right, the back dash cam.
reading this.
Well, it makes way more
mission
sense,
statement
like-
with,
Oh, look at the nest, the bally hill up
and
there.
then
See it?
Oh my gosh, wow.
wow.
I hope that was on the camera, yeah. Just spotting out what's
Imagine
going
that's what
on.
he's feeling, but I there.
One of the things you realize as you're sitting in that courtroom and
no
seeing
shelter,
the
nothing.
bankers' boxes or legal boxes
I guess it
full
must
of
be a really good
documents
spot to be there.
and realizing just how
Well, look at how
exhaustive
beautiful
and
it
how
is
many
here. If I could live anywhere.
Well, I'm just saying like a
Yeah.
thunderstorm.
I wonder for you if you have thought about how
No, I would probably hit something else because it's like,
And
it's still down low, right?
Has ever played out in your mind that you may have dodged a bullet? Like, was there a scenario that you would have gone deeper down this road and have ended up in a position that some of these leaders who have been arrested have ended up?
Yeah, I mean, I've played out all sorts of scenarios. I think that I definitely dodged a bullet, and getting branded as horrific as it was, and I think it's something I'll be dealing with for the rest of my life in some ways. The trauma of that, and the decision, and you know, getting myself out of Mexico. But it also woke me up to
This is the
what was
guy
to
that
come,
took everything.
and I play out had that happened, had it moved to Albany, which is something that was on the table.
You look like an Asian guy too.
Real estate, realtor.
Yeah.
I never wanted to move to Albany, but it's something that made me.
How did what was the
Podcast.
appropriate
So
word?
I think that if I
East
made
Asian is
that
fine,
move,
yeah. East Asian, South
and then when it
Asian.
happened, I made a
Chinese.
decision to like kind of make it work. Maybe that
It's
would
80,
have
but
maybe that would have been a different path for me. But
I was like, you're
ultimately, podcast I never really was all in. You may have
going swimming.
seen me all in
be
being a
cold
leader
right
and
now.
Vancouver, but really being all in Mexico was moving
That's
to Albany,
80, right?
and giving
I didn't
everything
see
up.
the speed limit.
Letting go of your attachment
100
to
was too
materialism.
fast through there anyway.
And I just wasn't willing to do it. I guess I'm just too attached to my materialism.
But it was close, as you say. I mean,
Yeah.
you were at a point where that was a conversation that was there. I mean, if you
It was
wanted
a
I
to
wonder if
do
that's
it,
a cabin.
I was dragging my feet.
You know, winter, whatever, or that's his
so it
place
wasn't
he's
a
living
route
in,
that
like
was
his home.
completely inconceivable. It was just
No.
one that you
I think property is probably very
I didn't
expensive
like the idea,
here.
but also I think Keith did try, in retrospect, his different ways to
Who
get to
knows?
me.
I mean, no,
and
they could have bought it.
I
you know, it could
don't
be-
think I would have ever let that happen.
They could have owned it for 100 years.
Ultimately, how you get in his inner circle, like all the inner circle are all with him sexually, it appears. Until he has that kind of control over you, he doesn't really have control over you.
Like it's 173 down when it was 180 and
We're
173
getting
now.
close
Still,
to
it's
2
went out 2
years.
minutes. It's weird.
Since you left. Very close.
Oh my god, yeah. We could have a party. Coming out party. Getting out party. Getting out party, not coming out party. Yes.
Do you feel, we started talking, I guess, a month after.
You see the rocks?
So that's almost 2 years ago that we
And I
started
saw where
having
it
a
came from.
conversation.
It's like
We
a
started to
little
reflect on your
crack.
experience inside the group, and I wonder, 2 years later, has your
ditch
thinking
where
about
everybody
your time in NCM evolved since we last spoke in the podcast?
Watch for livestock.
I mean, I think that I'm less. I think that I get so much therapy and work on myself and trying to even speak
Back
out
up to
about
537.
has allowed me to get out in front of
It's back up to 5. Oh,
the shame and regret.
oh, it
and all
just
that
flipped up
stuff.
to
Now I'm more like,
537.
okay, this is this
I'm
chunk
looking
of
around
my
the
life. I
kilometer
can't go
part.
back and change it.
Well, that'll
What did I
go down
learn?
as we go forward,
How
right?
can I
Yeah.
bring that
That's how the
into the rest of my
part
life
slow
and
down. It's weird.
help other
Yeah, but
people
the
not
time
the
is
same
like,
mistakes I
that's
have,
what it
but they're not
calculates how
every
long,
single
what time you should
more
get there,
positive. I
right?
am more
Yeah.
positive about it. Like I said, it's still a pretty deep wound. The wound of betrayal is something that is, I think, takes a long time to heal.
In the past about potentially continuing to help people who have gone through these kinds of experiences. Is that something that you can imagine doing?
Yeah, absolutely. And once I'm out of the, diaper craziness, I'm going to reevaluate. One option for me would be to get a degree in maybe psychology or become a psychotherapist.
Shit, this is pretty beautiful too. Like,
Celtic studies and helping people.
I didn't even know about
Looking
this,
again
but
just in the near future, as this trial unfolds in the next 6 weeks or so, what are you going to be looking for? What are you most curious about in the coming weeks?
I'm curious to see who the witnesses are and to see how the prosecution is able to show the jury the nuances of cults, how they work, how they get people.
Does this trial, is it a milestone for you? Do you see sort of the end of this trial marking an end of an era for you?
I guess it depends on what I decide to do moving forward. It's definitely a huge sense of closure and relief that he's being held accountable. And there's just so many moments that keep flashing back from my time in NCM moving forward about, Nelson Mandela being in prison and like how you're still able to build character and like have a sense of happiness even if you're imprisoned. And character's only character when it's tested, and now he's living all that. And sweet poetic justice that it's ironic and also kind of humorous for me. But I forgot your question, Josh. What did you ask me? Sorry, I had this vision of Keith and Nelson
I
Mandela.
loved your analogy to
Yes, yeah, I did. I got caught up in it.
I was asking exactly that question about whether there's a sense of closure with this.
Yeah, closure.
trial.
Yeah. There's definitely a sense of closure. I have a feeling it's not going to be closed anytime soon. I think this may go on for longer than people think. So it's not closed right now, but it's coming to a head. And the fact that he's has been in jail and is in court right now is a great sense of relief.
Well, thank you so much for allowing us to be the only interview that you did during this trial.
Thank you for doing what you're doing.
Before you go, I want to tell you 3 small interesting things that I learned in the trial. The black sash. How do you earn a black sash?
I have no idea. I've never been told.
You have to invent something that changes humanity.
Oh no, I did know that. I forgot about that. Yes, you can come up with an invention. Yep.
Okay, number 2.
a warrior flag? No.
How much money per month did Claire Bronfman spend on patents?
How much money did you spend on patents and trying to get
Radio
rid
flag?
Yeah.
It's a guy with
an attempt to file
a
patents.
board now.
Oh, was it? That's a warrior
$50,000.
flag,
It's very
probably.
interesting. It's
It's not the
$40,000.
Oka
Oh,
warrior
wow.
flag.
There was a guy who's kind of
That's
perched out in
What?
the
$40,000 a month.
What did, according to Mark, this
There's some pretty hardcore indigenous resistance.
He's
Here,
what was
yeah.
able to change?
And look at this. This is fucking beautiful. Like,
yeah, like
and they want to come here and tear this shit down,
The
and put
weather.
pipelines,
Yes.
and build all kinds of stuff, and it's like
I
a
had
travesty.
heard that. You know what? You just reminded me. I told
Look at this line. It's beautiful.
We're addicted. We're addicted to oil.
Or did I just have a dream of a cave? I don't know. And he's like, he's like really connected with spiritual levels.
Fresh water.
I want more of this pop quiz. Can you give me more?
I was trying to have something in my notes. Well, there was another thing. There was another human-made device that Keith has difficulty using because his energy field, according to Mark, his energy fields.
Is it computers?
Yes, a computer is the right answer.
That one.
He's got many computers because his energy
railway.
fields, according to Mark's a day.
I thought that was the river at first. I know that should have railway there.
But you know, it's interesting. You learn little details sitting in.
I was just gonna say you ready for a fart.
All right, Sarah.
Do we
No, I'm
actually
just
have enough
looking.
for real?
Yeah, we're actually
Bracing.
thinking
It's
of
just so
you.
beautiful.
But thank you. I really appreciate that you came down.
Church
Thanks,
bird
Josh.
down there.
All right.
Okay, take care.
Bye.
Oh, there's something.
Oh yeah. Cool.
That is it for the bonus episode of Uncover Escaping Nexium. If you haven't listened to the full series, you can find it wherever you get your podcasts. It's season 1 of CBC Podcasts Uncover.
It's been warm here.
Stay tuned for further updates. And also, I highly recommend listening to the other seasons of Uncover. I'm Josh Block. Thanks for listening.
For more CBC original podcasts, go to cbc.ca.
Are you hot in the back, Mom?
Mom, are you hot?
Are you hot?
Oh.
Like when I press it, I'm gonna pass out. It wasn't that bad.
Your toots do stink. It's really bad.
iHeartRadio and Unusual Productions.
Just remember the
Every
first time I
single
said I
thing
love
that
you.
you do
Yeah.
on a social network or on a
Do you
website
refresh your memory
is
back?
essentially recorded. How many
Alright,
pages
homie, why are you
visited?
slowing right the
What
fuck
did you
down
click
here?
on? How did you
What's
get to
going
that website? What page did you leave
somebody
on?
else?
How many photos have you ever uploaded? Where were those photos uploaded? How many places have
From
you checked
Alberta.
into? Who have you tagged? What photographs have you been tagged in? With whom? Where were those photographs taken? Who's in your friendship circle? Who did you go to school with? There are algorithms and machine learning technologies that connect all of that data together and start to find patterns.
That's Lisa Talia Moretti speaking. She's a digital sociologist and tech ethics advocate with a big focus on data.
I think some of the data that's quite concerning is facial recognition technology, where machines are being fed huge amounts of images, so pictures of people's faces, and that can come from
There's a big wall
dating
up there, eh?
websites, from photographs of you
ski
on
resort.
Facebook or Instagram or anywhere on the internet. You don't even have to upload it yourself. It could be somebody else that's uploaded it for you.
With all that data out in the wild, all it takes is for somebody to suck it up and they can start connecting the dots.
So there were researchers last year from Stanford University who, without the user's permission, scraped 30,000 photographs from a dating website that was public, right? So they took it that they could just use those photographs for research. Because it was a dating site, people were also asked the data points, what is your sexual orientation? So gay, straight, bi, right? And so they had all of that
Don't you
data
fucking start
connected.
accelerating
So they
now.
could then connect faces to sexual orientation, and essentially they built an algorithm that they said could detect just by somebody's face if they were gay or straight or bi.
The algorithm worked. It could predict sexual orientation from photographs with 91% accuracy for men and 83% accuracy for women based on just 5 photographs. And Stanford isn't the only place using facial recognition to categorize people. Governments are too, all around the world. This is Sleepwalkers.
It's like a big wall. It's like another big section of wall down there too. It's weird. All around there too. I don't know, it's not cool. It's just how the group is done. The mountain is.
Welcome.
No, I think it might be a ski
In
resort.
the last
That's what I was
episode, we looked at
thinking.
what happens when artificial intelligence digests huge data sets to find patterns and make predictions. Like, what's the most typical movie synopsis? Or is that mole cancerous? advances in machine learning are also making us more and more legible. In today's episode, we ask, what happens when we become the data set and the power to predict is turned on us? Here's Lisa again.
The extra terrifying thing is why creates this kind of technology? Like, who does it serve? Why do we need this? If you take this type of technology, feed it to a city-wide CCTV surveillance system, and say that you go to a place like Saudi Arabia where being gay is considered a crime,
She's looking
and suddenly you're just
Really?
one of the people arresting them because you're gay because the computer said so. So, like, where is that? You're going to prison?
What is this part?
So now it starts to
It may
clue
sound
in.
like
It's
a
chipping down
terrifying
to 6
minority
minutes now.
report style future, but actually, it's here today.
But still, it makes me nervous that there's just something that we just don't know about. But we'll see.
When governments start to connect the dots with data, but it's already happening with private enterprise. For example, insurance companies can now see someone who joins a Facebook group about a genetic mutation and use that data to guess that that person may have the genetic mutation and the condition that's associated, and then the computer says, let's raise their premium, let's deny them care. And so we can use proxy data to do something the New York Times has recently called proxy discrimination.
And I think something that's even more widely applicable is this definition of surveillance capitalism, which is essentially that data is not just data anymore, it's money. Companies can use data to make predictions about future behavior, and that can make them profit, right? That's surveillance capitalism.
Right. i.e. using information about joining a Facebook group to make an insurance decision.
Right, and it's, I don't know, it's a little bit scary.
In the US, it's all about capitalism, but in other countries, surveillance is used for other purposes.
For example, in China, it's about social control.
But in China, this same massive ingestion of data and statistical modeling is used for governance. So let's take a closer look at China and how they're using technology to amplify the power of the state.
They have this notion of a social credit score, which is how good of a citizen you are according to the government.
Oh, that would be a
They
nice
have
train
literally
ride
hundreds
too,
of millions of cameras around, and they can basically do things like, you've been out at the bar, till 2 the last couple of nights. That's not really what a good outstanding citizen
Shut up.
is. So your social credit score could be because you've been spending too much time at night at a bar.
That stopped Alex Kilpatrick. He and Mary Hastings co-founded
Well, looks like a train track to me.
information company. They could recognize a user's face in just the blink of an eye, about 0.4 seconds. Here's Blink co-founder Mary on Chinese surveillance.
They have cameras, so you're recording jaywalking, and so your score goes down, and you automatically get a ticket, which, again, doesn't sound like that big of a deal if you really believe in law and order, except if your score isn't high enough, you can't buy a plane ticket, you have to travel by bus. You can't live in certain areas, and you can obviously see how this could be confused. It doesn't take into attention.
Just like
Other factors that could bring down your social credit score include what you buy at the store, your online browsing, and even having a friend with a low score. This use of generalized surveillance can keep a whole population in check, which is more or less the explicit goal of the Communist Party in China. Because precisely for the average Han Chinese citizen, for minorities, it can be much, much worse.
Right, and more specifically, dauntingly, it can be used for internally.
Oh, yeah.
There's lots of minority in China.
I don't like those things.
Using data that is being created
Starburst.
by this minority to
I'm
just
fine for now,
communicate, one person communicate with another person.
Those two are connected, they're both Uyghurs.
Right.
5 Uyghurs are gathering in the same place.
Now that we know that, what are we going to do with that data? Oh, we're going to send education camps.
And as
there's a
technology
chip in there.
improves, so does the state.
There's a potato chip in there?
Yeah.
How did that make it?
The Americans want
It's like a small piece.
That's Ian
Is there
Bremer,
4
an
colors
expert
for
on global
starters?
political
The main
race,
4
and
colors,
founder
yeah.
of the Eurasia Group.
Yeah, the original.
Chinese
Yeah.
have much more data. You also have a government that's consolidating the data and allocating it for different types of purposes. And you have no presumption of privacy whatsoever.
Gets to go
With no
around.
presumption of privacy, the amount of data you can collect from your citizens grows exponentially. And that actually gives you a huge technological advantage. This is how Kai Fu Lee explains it.
What makes the
Stayed out
AI
for
algorithm
banana.
better
Imagine
is
that
how
was
much
your
data
house,
you
right?
use to train them.
Huh?
That's the beauty of deep
What?
learning. You just keep throwing data at it, and it just performs better.
And Kai-Fu Lee understands this
Yeah, if
world
she can eat
better
all of it,
than
that's fine.
His funds animation
If she
Yeah,
wants
if
to,
she
yeah.
wants to, yeah.
a facial recognition company valued at $4 billion.
Right
Kai-Fu
out of the house.
also ran Google China.
Just that would be your view
He knows the
looking out.
landscape.
China simply has more data than the US due to not only the large number of users, but also the depth at which Chinese users use the internet for ordering food, for sharing bicycles, for mobile payments. So the AI will actually just perform better because it's trained on more data.
Some of that data
That's a train
is
track that
taken
goes through a
from
tunnel.
citizens
Yeah.
using surveillance. But according to Kai-Fu,
I think we might go through a tunnel.
I think the Chinese culture and the Chinese people are more pragmatic, so that if the software delivers pragmatic value, they ask fewer questions. For example, we funded an app that loans money to you, that asks you a couple of questions,
Crazy,
and it
like
takes data
corners.
from your phone at the same level as Facebook would take data from your phone, and it zaps the money to you instantly if it decides to lend money to you. I think in the US, people might question.
I can't believe there's no cars here. Like this. I guess we're in the like 3 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon. Like
appropriate to consider the make of my phone as a part of giving me money
Oh, my
or
ear.
my zip code, because that
ear
might
eardrum.
reflect certain things about me.
the
I
breadth
just
and
seen
depth
something
of
come
data
up
in
on my
China, both from a
screen
larger
there. What is it
population
over there?
and much deeper integration with technology, gives China
That's-
a
oh,
serious competitive
construction?
advantage.
We are the
I
Americans.
guess, yeah,
have
maybe. I didn't
much
get it. I
better
just saw a yellow. It almost looked like
Yeah,
a lot
an
of science.
exclamation
Now,
mark.
when you
Like a
talk to
caution
specialists in this field, they will tell you that in many parts of AI,
Caution.
great data and okay scientists will
find
frequently
out.
beat great scientists and okay data.
Oh,
Now, the scary thing is
This
that
is
China is
crazy.
using that technological superiority to build a very different kind of state. One in which the price of dissent is intolerably high. So according to Ian, public demonstrations have fallen
Yeah, I don't know
apart.
the
Right,
cautious
because
is.
if you know you're being watched, you're
That's
probably
interesting.
less
Never
likely
seen that
to
before on
commit
this.
public displays of civil
A-Rod.
disobedience.
Right. We talked about the Uyghurs earlier. In Kashgar, which is a Muslim city in China, Uyghurs have to register to go into the mosque,
Look at this.
and once they're
See when it
inside,
rains or when
they
it
face
snows
a
in winter,
bank
what you
of
see all that.
cameras, like many surveillance
Like the
cameras.
veins.
And go
the
figure,
water goes through
Muslims
them,
stop
kind of
going to mosque voluntarily.
Well, because going to mosque is an act of civil disobedience where they are.
Even if it's not explicitly stated, it's heavily implied.
Right. I mean, I think about it for myself. Like, if I were living in an area in the United States where going to temple was going to land me in an internment camp, I would not be going voluntarily if I knew there were security cameras all over my temple.
Absolutely, and the crazy thing is, you wouldn't even have to know if those security cameras work. It's like on the motorway in England, we have a lot of speed cameras, and no one knows if they're actually doing anything, apart from once every 5 years you get a ticket, but it still slows people down.
The panopticon.
Even if they can't do that, but people think they can do that, right? I mean, you don't need 100% certainty. You just need a government that is starting to get that capacity and make it known and have a few people that are sort of strung up as examples, and suddenly everyone's scared.
And this isn't only happening in China. According to Ian, it was a key part of Bashar al-Assad's strategy in the Syrian civil war.
Assad got some help from the Russians, who gave him a couple hundred computer scientists to go and work with the Syrian military and identify on social media.
Is it going to be a long wait?
Who were
No?
those Syrian citizens?
5 minutes?
Nodes
2
of
minutes?
dissent.
I'm debating if I'm going to go for a pee or not.
Moderate opposition in Syria.
Should I go for a
They
pee?
specifically were
Yeah, okay.
looking into individual Syrian citizens that were saying
Behind the car,
that were
Rodney.
untoward, that were connected
no,
to
you don't,
influencers, that were
no,
helping
you're
to organize
wasting it. Stop it.
protests, and suddenly,
That's it now. No
a
more.
bunch of those people were rounded up, and some were never heard from again. And as I mentioned in terms of China, you don't have to do that with many people before people start
it's got
ratting out
lots
their
of time.
friends,
There's a
being
camp
scared,
over there.
talking to anyone, not going out. The system worked.
You may feel comfortably far from the battlefields of Syria here in the US, and from the
That's it, now.
overwhelming
Fight no
number
more
of
now.
surveillance
Got
cameras
enough
on practically
snacks.
every street corner in China. The more effective these technologies are, the more likely they are to be adopted
All
by
gone
others.
now.
Now, in other countries,
You have a little
you're
kit
going to have a
with some drinkable
confluence
with it?
of both them liking the model and the Chinese directly exporting it. Who are those countries? Well, look at One Belt, One Road. The $1 trillion+ investments that the Chinese are making all over the world
Pakistan, Southeast Asia, Cambodia, Laos, a whole bunch of countries. And when you look at those countries and you see that the Chinese are providing the money, this conditionality in return. Some of the conditionality is use Chinese standards for technology. That's in many of these
You want to drive now, hon?
Well, he said if it goes slow, it says to take over, and I'll just park on the side there. He's in the potty over there.
So as that happens, these governments are going.
Yeah, I'm just gonna move on the side, and then all the traffic can go.
We use their technology. We're stuck with their
Yeah, I'll
system,
move there.
but we can use it to ensure that our people stay in
Stop
power.
me saying.
Again, it's easy to let all of this feel comfortably
go
far
over
away.
there.
But remember, the internet doesn't have borders, so you don't have to be in China for the Chinese state to access your data.
Yeah, I don't know how many people.
You want me to drive now?
Yeah, go.
Grindr is actually owned by.
Well, he says when it's slow.
Grindr the data.
Yes, and actually there have been articles about the fact that the U.S. government is trying to force China's hand so that we can buy it back because there's so much.
We paid him.
Yeah, that's exactly what I meant.
That this company now owns.
Well, that Grindr user data is basically being seen by the U.S. government as a strategic asset.
It is a strategic asset. I mean, if you think about it, if somebody is on a military base or in a barrack and trying to connect with someone on Grindr, they're turning their location services data on because they want to see people in their area. And if they're turning that location services data on, they're basically making themselves vulnerable to the company that owns the data because it's basically saying, here I am.
And not only that, here I am, and I'm gay, and that can lead to some possibilities of blackmail even today.
Exactly. There was an article in the Interface that was written by this guy Casey Newton. Chat history, photos, videos, real-time location, all of that is connected to a user's email address. And that means that the user's identity can be very easily learned.
That's pretty scary. And even if you don't use Grindr, you might use Clash of Clans.
My cooling butt part.
Also owned by the Chinese. Now,
Two, is it a one now?
Chinese, to be clear, these apps aren't owned by the Chinese government.
Right.
They're owned by Chinese companies. But what the actions of the US government imply by trying to force this company to sell Grindr back is that they don't believe in the distinction.
Right. And do you think the U.S. government would really be working that hard to get back the
Does it sound like CARP or something?
Well, we just went through the construction.
Think that there was not a murky separation between the government and companies in China.
Right. So every time we give data away, I mean, we're aware that it opens us up to targeted ads on Facebook. We talked about those with Gillian. We're not aware that data may end up in the hands of potentially, hostile foreign governments. So once again,
open this servers for me, please?
We've been talking about how foreign governments are using AI, but when we come back, we'll look at how the police and courts are using it at home in America. There's nothing small about your business. Your impact on the community has made a huge difference. As a thank you during Small Business Month, Dell is offering up to 45%
So you pick up speed and it tells you 30 and I look on the map, it's like a real
Plus, get a free external hard drive with select PC purchases. Call 877-BY-DELL to speak with a small business technology advisor today. That's 877-BY-DELL for tech, advice, and one-on-one partnership. Kara, it's easy to look at China and to see the big bad wolf. They're using surveillance technology for the wholesale suppression of an ethnic minority. They have a social credit score that can limit access to opportunities and even travel. But algorithms also determine outcomes here in the US.
Exactly. If you think about it, we do use social ratings. If you use Uber and have a rating
Do you notice
over 4 to 5 stars, you can't get a car.
exclamation, the question, like exclamation mark came up again?
And our criminal justice system also uses algorithmic ratings to decide people's fates.
I got arrested at 16 when I was in high school.
That's Len Rodriguez. When he was a baby, Len's mom...
You alright back there, Mom? You okay back there?
I wonder if Mom wants to sit in the front.
Yeah, just another hour now. Hour and a half, maybe. Or if we go according to this, 2.5 hours. No, he had some in the toilet. Yeah, you want your phone charged?
I want to have any chance of. We then had to reverse 13 years of behavior. To survive in prison, he had learned to behave one way, but to get out, he
Stop.
had to behave
Hold on a minute, Mom.
another.
Oh, I thought you meant me.
No. Sorry.
Oh shit.
So I was
like, why? What? That was nothing.
That was an amazing experience, right? Because while incarceration is almost like you build around yourself. Dogs, you can't read people. You're trying to like teach them command sense and kind of be silly. But you guess what? In prison, being silly is not acceptable. That's perceived as a weakness. But with that program, oftentimes it had to resort to being silly and throwing yourself on the floor and getting loud or making all kinds of crazy sounds to try to get the dog's attention, right? For a very long extent, I believe that that program can help you create those environments. As well as helping men personally, taking part in prison programs for the public good is looked upon favorably by parole boards.
Everything I did, I wanted to document.
No, I'm fine, thank you.
What I've done, this is who I am today. As part of the process, there's also the Compass Risk Assessment.
COMPASS stands for Correctional Offender Management Profiling for Alternative Sections. It's an algorithm that claims to be able to predict how likely an offender is to commit another crime based on a list of 137 questions. This has been developed in 1998. It's estimated COMPASS has been used to assess more than 1 million defendants, including Claire.
You open me the other
This person wants before you schedule. And they ask you a series of questions. And so when you got to
I put some of the wrappers on the other side already. You know what I'm talking
there
about?
was a list of offenses, right? To check off yes or no as one of the ones, and it was all no. And anyone who has any experience with prison will tell you that that is almost impossible. And because misbehavior, of course, could be for something as simple as having too many pillows, something as simple as your pants hanging off your butt, your sneakers untied. It takes a lot of energy to dodge a behavior during the course of a year, so on 10. And in my case, it would have been 11.
No, that's a right of way for the electricity. Yeah.
Yes. And I was like, hold on, wait a second, did I just hear you right? I just heard you say
The smell. Like the wood. Nature.
And his answer was, well, I was told that if there's any instance of misbehavior at any point, I have to check yes.
Yeah.
So at that point, there was nothing I
You bet.
I'm hearing before the I presented to the approximately 100 pages, had 25 letters of support. Now, the problem is they say
That's what they were talking about right on the side of the mountain. No, right?
Hmm?
No, that's not the one they're talking about. Writing on the side of the mountain.
No.
I waited 26 years.
We're in Alberta,
Oh my gosh.
And now your job is under
Ooh, nice.
departed from Compass, which is taken as factual and scientific.
In time, Glenn went before another parole board, and this time they freed him against recommendation of Compass. And now Glenn
It's just beautiful as far as you can see.
incarceration and a center for community alternatives. But he's still being affected by the algorithm.
Compass does not end upon your release because the same Compass
Those are cautious, yeah, it works.
considered.
Maybe it's a very important intersection. Gotta be really careful, maybe.
No, it's weird though.
There's a number of restrictions that I have. I have a curfew. I'm still haunted by Compass.
Despite turning his life around, Compass
Imagine
is
that,
still
living in those houses down there, eh?
And that should
Just every day waking up and seeing this.
Republican that is inaccurately labeled black defendants as likely to reoffend twice as often as white defendants. Algorithmic discrimination isn't government policy here in the US, like it is against Uyghurs in China. Listen to this.
There's this issue where even computer scientists are being more accurate.
It's back to 37.
Gender or race or religion. You've created something.
Right? Maybe they know something we don't. I don't know.
Maybe this thing will be a factor. I don't know. That's interesting. Because can you see anything over there? What it could be?
Association Journal.
There's this predisposition to believe that math doesn't carry all.
Lillooet? I can look it up.
That's confusing, but I don't like that.
It'll go back. Yeah.
It's called automation.
I'll look it up right now.
And it's why often don't feel comfortable overriding algorithms like compass, and why some people follow the GPS.
They do a lot of mining at BC too, don't they?
This idea that's
I'm not sure.
They do jade mining at BC.
That's crazy.
The big bridge down there. Railroad.
Computer algorithms are being used to determine human fate today, whether it's policy, US, or
Oh my
social
goodness,
And
media.
that's dam, or is that just
So
a
we
lake?
have to scrutinize them and understand that output is not necessarily neutral.
Something.
The foundational principle of AI is using historical data to predict what will happen next, and that in itself is a challenge to our culture. Because the American dream is built on the idea of
Lillooet.
capacity to change.
Guaranteed
from
rugged.
From the penitentiary to the boardroom.
I guess this is like. I guess they do rock climbing here, Mom. I don't know what they do.
It's St. Paul's conversion on the road to Damascus.
I'll look it up and oh, look at that train bridge! Wow.
It's great, the little villages.
It is, yeah.
Other than these little houses.
Well, there has to be a reason why there would be.
Maybe fishing.
Maybe there's a mine. I'm gonna look it up right away.
Usually they do mine.
Oh, well, here's something going on here.
Yeah.
Well, I'll find out right away.
Hi, I'm Chelsea Handler, and I'm launching a brand new podcast with iHeartRadio called Life Will Be the Death of Me. And I'm going to talk to all these different people. My BFF, Mary McCormick. That's what we should call my book tour, the Apology Tour. Yeah. Sorry, everyone. That's what this whole podcast should be called. It should be called With the Orange, because of the orange thing.
It must be an important intersection.
Life Will Be the Death of Me with Chelsea Handler. Listen and subscribe at Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's a freezing cold day in New York City when we arrive at the NYPD headquarters. And before we can enter the main building, Julian and I have to pass through airport-style security and naturally give up some data, including submitting a selfie at the kiosk.
It's an indigenous community.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. It's one of the southernmost communities in North America, where indigenous people form the majority. They assert that they've been here living here since as long as they can remember, which is probably.
Fishing and whatnot?
No, this is just a gathering spot for the
police department collects
You're yelling, Ronnie.
because my mom is hard of hearing.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But it's just...
They've been living here for at least 7,000 years. Archaeologically proven.
Highway 99.
back doors into various systems, but the NYPD is governed by the same legal processes as any other law enforcement agency. If we want data from an outside company or vendor, we get a search warrant from a judge or through a DA's office issue a subpoena.
In 300 meters, turn right onto Highway 99.
Styles and easy pass readers
There it is.
and more enabled. So, what might the NYPD know about me?
Turn right onto
It must be an
Highway
important
99.
intersection,
The
Ron.
officer hasn't taken a report by hand.
Right, yeah, because you see the
Probably
yielding
don't
lights and
have
stuff.
I think they're grapes, Rod.
do collect data through
Could be,
sensors
yeah, I don't know.
like license plate readers.
Yeah, winery.
And we do have data sharing agreements with some other criminal justice
Continue on current road for about 1 kilometer.
and so there's obviously opportunities for that kind of data to
It's
enter
going to go through, right? Yeah.
But one thing that's built into every single
Hey, the winery and then the lighthouse
So
mission is the
anytime
next
you look
one.
at any piece of information, no matter what system you're in, that's being audited. And so we have a very large internal affairs bureau, and people have gotten it.
In 700 meters, turn slight right onto Highway 99.
That's reassuring. But why collect so much data in the first place?
I think that the next frontier of machine learning policing is bringing decisions and information into the hands of cops who need to make decisions.
In 300 meters, turn slight right onto Highway 99 and then turn left.
Has really changed the way that they police. When you have more information, you can make better decisions. So we could be responding to a job.
Literally,
that is
turn on the
Turn slight right onto Highway 99 99th and then turn left.
Responded to 911 calls there last week. You know.
And we're going around the hairpin.
Turn left onto Duffy Lake Road.
That person that we
now I'm
interacted
turning
with
this
had
way.
some sort of issue. Well, the cop who's working today might not be the same cop who was working
Now
a
I'm turning
week
that
ago.
way, right?
And so how do I convey that information?
That's what it says?
Maybe in a phone as a pop-up, as a notification that tells you, take extra time, take caution.
Continue on current road for more than 50 kilometers.
Was that a slight right?
It's hard to argue against.
I don't know what that was.
Safer interactions for
That's what got me
everyone.
confused.
But of course, what
I
many
can't
people
let
find
that
more
guy pass.
concerning is ambient surveillance. Surveillance that happens all the time. And despite much pressure, the NYPD has yet to release an explicit facial recognition policy. Where do the efforts stand on facial recognition technology?
Our facial identification section, which sits under the Detective Bureau, is a group of trained detectives, investigators. They use a tool, an algorithm that compares faces that we
I believe it's called a forest bump.
I
know. I'm just winding you up. A wood factory where they make wood.
A facial recognition hit occurs, and that's
a mill. It's called a mill.
Yeah. It doesn't generate probable cause. For us, we still require much
unless
more
you mean a
evidence
forest.
to make a determination that that hit is truly viable and something we can act on.
But there are cases where that technology has been used as part of an arrest or prosecution.
That's like a computer, it has to put you.
In the absence of an explicit policy, Ben wasn't able to answer the question live in the room. But we did get a statement from the NYPD. The
And it's saying that he's turning that way now and he wants to go that way.
Responsibly in the use of facial recognition software. There is no NYPD case where an arrest
Yeah, it's
or
like
prosecution
$1.70, I think, in Vancouver.
The NYPD uses it on a case-by-case basis, and the case must always be supported by further investigation before any arrest is made. The NYPD has absolutely no interest in wholesale surveillance, which would be an enormous and entirely pointless task. We have little choice but to trust. But that said, Ben did speak convincingly about how the NYPD actually uses technology to police themselves.
There's also statistical tools around fairness that can actually measure whether an algorithm is fair, whether it's causing bias, etc. And so we're very interested in utilizing
it. Reminds me of Arizona, but like with Green Hills.
We want to get better, and we're taking a conservative approach because we know how high stakes this is.
The stakes are high, and the path is murky. I didn't know what to expect at the NYPD. Will they optimize purely for reducing crime, or will they take a broader view of justice?
It's not gonna be like this in the States.
Personally, I found Ben reassuring.
Like curvy like this, up in the mountains like this?
Oh, I don't think so.
How do we, here in America, guard against
all the scenic drives we were taking were in Canada.
Let's return to Mary Haskett, who founded Blink Identity.
In the States, it should mostly be interstates and state highways. Main state highways, I think.
And here's the problem. I don't think it's appropriate to ask a police department.
Holy mackerel!
That's awesome for them. I mean, you need to have a different level. You need to have your governor, federal, state, some governing bodies to be saying, sorry, this is not appropriate. This is violating people's rights.
The difference between what is happening in China and in the US is not technological. It's cultural and political.
Why is it?
Edward Snowden had a phrase for this. Turnkey tyranny, meaning that the technical infrastructure of mass surveillance already exists, and that we're only protected by our values and our laws. I'm thinking of China.
I think there are some profoundly creepy things that we are right on the edge of starting to see. There's cameras everywhere. If you add face recognition, it's not just, oh, they saw my face. They saw that I went to Starbucks. It's where you were every day, every time, all over history, and all that gets saved. It's my pattern of where I go when I'm outdoors forever. 5 years ago, I would have said that could never happen here.
Part of the reason Mary cares so much about privacy is that she knows how quickly facial recognition is spreading. In fact, in 2018, Blink Identity raised money from Live Nation, Ticketmaster's parent company, to allow future concert goers to use their faces instead of their tickets.
We wanted to be a case study of how to do this in a way that preserves individual privacy and respects the individual, and maybe that will help set a precedent, and maybe some of these other objectionable use cases just won't be able to take off.
Facial recognition and other AI technologies are being developed all over the world, and we can't trust everyone to be as conscientious as Mary and Alex. In America, the liberty we take for granted is hard-won and fragile, and cases like Glenn show what can happen when algorithms are blindly trusted to determine outcomes. So much hangs in the balance right now about our
that like treated wood, like the train, those big beams you put in the train tracks.
Relies on our children too. I mentioned Charles Dickens' Christmas Carol earlier. To me, one of the most powerful
maybe there's a reason why it's like this, Ronnie, because of this.
Himself through his own decisions.
No, it wouldn't be. Doesn't make sense.
And those chains, longitudinal data, and they'd be very hard to get rid of. They're the record that Glenn wouldn't shake, that might deny a Chinese citizen.
Well, maybe. I mean, what are you going? 60 now. Yeah, well, 60K, 126 kilometers. That'll take you 2 hours.
Data can also set us free.
In the next episode,
we investigate what's possible when our data is used to help us. From a dying man brought back to his youth, to movies and music that read our bodies while they play. And what happens when Alexa becomes part of the family?
My gosh, this is pretty freaking cool.
How long back did pteranodons live?
I don't know that one. I am still learning more about dinosaurs. That's okay. Here's some dinosaur trivia. Lexi, chill out.
Doesn't go less than 30. Interesting, Rob, for cruise control.
You go less than 30. It will go less than 30, but you can't set it for less than 30.
Sleepwalkers is a production of iHeartRadio.
Like if someone in front of you slows down to 10, it'll match.
News, live interviews, and behind-the-scenes footage. Find us on Instagram at Sleepwalkers Podcast or at sleepwalkerspodcast.com. Special thanks this episode to Laurie Earlham and Lucy Brady. Sleepwalkers is hosted by me, Oz Voloshin.
And co-hosted by me, Carol Price.
We're produced by Julian Weller, with help from Jacopo Penzo and Taylor Shikori. Mixing by Tristan McNeil and Julian Weller. Our story editor is Matthew Riddle. Recording assistance this episode from Dina Pritchard, Rachel Brandon, and Roger. Sleepwalkers is executive produced by me, Oz Voloshin, and Mangesh Hattie.
Oh yeah, if it goes, it'll be okay.
For more podcasts from iHeartRadio,
you put 2 cars behind me.
Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, you can change it if you want to.
Favorite shows.
Where is it again?
This month, Dell is thanking small businesses with up to 45% off select computers with Intel Core processors. Call 877-BY-DELL to speak with a small business technology advisor today. That's 877-BY-DELL for tech, advice, and one-on-one partnership.
But here's the truth. We're totally gonna kill you now.
I didn't do that.
No way! Yes way, Dad!
Where's Gamora? I'll do you one better. Who's Gamora? I'll do you one better.
Sorry, I'm just concentrating more on the fucking thing, Rock.
That's exactly why you use the one on the steering wheel.
Yeah, but I don't know where I'm pressing on the steering wheel first of all, so.
Philosophers.
Trying to figure it out while I'm trying to concentrate. What do you do, mode?
No, you use the volume control right here.
Yeah, just the volume. I thought you wanted me to turn it off. Like, how the fuck do you want me to turn it off? What?
When you turn it off by pushing it.
Yeah, this. On all this.
Yeah.
Kill you now.
I guess you don't want to listen to the podcast anymore?
No, I'm fine to listen to it.
Yeah, but what happened? Why is it not the podcast anymore, bud?
What?
Why is it not the podcast anymore?
Because it's another podcast.
Oh, okay. I didn't understand that. I thought it was just the radio or the station, right?
What, Mom?
Put your hand down.
I got it now.
Hey, Abby. Hey, Abby.
This is episode 58. I'm Thomas Smith, and then over there is Aaron from Lillooet.
I'm doing alright, except for I've got this version of the song Runaround Sue stuck in my head. The robot version. Runaround Robot Sue. Reading this short section of it.
Yeah, no, I would get flustered with a fit, honestly, Baba. I would definitely get frustrated.
If you're on the show, so here we go.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, that guy didn't catch this one, Ronnie, was weird. But,
you know,
thank you.
What happened was you got
letting us
stuck
pass.
into potentialities in the brain.
I do, I get so anxious. Yeah.
Yeah, one, the directive to make beautiful music, and then
I guess because he stopped so suddenly. No, that's weird.
Just because it was a corner. They would have caught it right away.
Potentiality exactly is equal
a cigar that's kind of like chugging along, eh?
And I got that you mentioned Runaround Sue. I mean,
I mean, I like oldies. I mostly like singing a cappella, so I've heard that song a bunch of times, and so unlike
slowing down.
Runaround by Blues Traveler can be another place to go.
Should I just tap on my brakes or just use a cruise control to adjust it to 640 or whatever the speed limit is?
Now every time I say it, I also use like good time because I just love oldies. But anyway, let's talk about robots. Robot Sue. Yes, we read Isaac Asimov's Runaround, and it's a little confusing. I don't know if you can try to explain this. This is in a collection called iRobot, but is there also another story called iRobot?
Yeah, there's a collection called iRobot, and then there's so as far as I can tell, iRobot. There's a movie, obviously, that we all know.
Getting used to it, but
the original that itself.
What are you thinking about now?
Nothing.
Okay, show you back.
Which is a collection of short stories that were
I don't get this.
originally published in like pulp.
It's coming up.
Paperback novels like.
As soon as you push cancel, it doesn't break. It will turn itself off.
So like these are
right.
the places where folks like Philip
Yeah, it's something to see.
were writing.
Just kidding.
You know the beginnings of science fiction. Getting paid like nothing for it. These horribly exploitative kinds of.
That's what I'm afraid of. That it won't stop.
Stories get pulled together.
Right. But it's true. I just gotta remember that if I stop, press on the brakes, right.
Runaround and Reason, Robbie, a bunch of these little stories that all are centered around questions about the laws of robotics and how they could go astray.
But the reason we are reading this particular one is it is the origin of the 3 laws, right?
Yeah, it's the origin of like the first explicit laying out of the 3 laws. There's a previous story called.
It's so weird how it just feels like the car's slowing down.
It's a very, very short story about a guy explaining that at one point he was on one of the moons of Saturn and he gets caught by a storm and there's a robot there and he can save him. But the robot instead chooses to protect the offspring that the robot has created, which is a little baby robot, and so thereby violates the first law of robotics. Now, that's the only time that apparently this video that found is that there's a story where a robot actually just explicitly outright violates the first law in that kind of way.
You alright there, Mom? It's just like, no.
Every time you go round a bend, the chair falls this way. And I go round the other way, and then we're going this way, and I'm just looking at me saying, what's happening? What's moving?
Yeah, I don't want to go 80 down here.
It does, the more sophisticated though, it's relative trick. It's still like,
what the heck? That's
it's
weird.
still talking about robots. It's
Very weird, but.
Some stuff like a radio.
Yep. I love the
Sun's not bothering you, eh, Mom?
Yeah, it does have a positronic brain. It's one step away from, being a learning computer to that kind of thing.
That was why I opened it up so you and Ab could kind of see out. It was, I swear to God.
It's very interesting to see how things were thought of back then. We get to talk about the 3 laws. We're going to talk about, good laws, bad laws. Well, actually, I think it's the first law of robotics is don't talk about robotics. We're going to violate that. And then the other 3 are.
We should just start adding laws.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's hop on into our exposition zone. You're traveling through another dimension beyond that which is known to body. to know that in the future on Mercury, robots will still have names like Speed. I like this car.
It's a mythic allegory to Hermes.
You're driving in the mountains.
Okay, but I mean, Speedy though. Okay. I mean, are they like Punchy the robot?
Sorry.
Lifty.
Bender, yeah. I would argue Bender is like more advanced in the name and more scientific sounding than Speed. But is it more oriented? Yeah, they've got the security robots have got Punchy and shoot.
It sure is chugging along, eh?
No, but they got Speedy, and they sent Speedy to go get the science juice, and then Speedy hasn't come back.
They're facing the other way.
They are. Let's see if I can my robot brain. I think
the back sides of signs are green. Oh, maybe not. I don't know.
All three laws, but yeah,
that's true.
Let's see if you still.
Well, I only have one law, and that is cleanliness. And in fact, if I have to choose between saving a baby and cleaning the pool, I'm pretty sure I actually.
You would turn the trolley towards cleaning the pool as opposed to.
That is still on. I thought the AC would be on.
No, it's not on.
Okay. Well, I thought it was on auto, no?
I turned it off when I opened my window.
If anybody tells you that you can't use the trolley for something, they're wrong.
So the first one is.
He's about to go have some fun.
Well, you should. I mean, you have the actual wording of it just to make sure, because the law will guide on this.
That's right.
We'll test you on this. Let's see how well.
I mean, I could do basically the Thomas High School English class version of this, where we get like half credit.
We should be getting close, though. You did say it was a 7-hour drive about that, right? So. Didn't say to slow down. I was like, that corner looks a little sharp. This is like rough now. Next.
She's around here.
And the problem that we get to is they eventually realize. I think
see, we're going up to 80 now because it looks pretty straight now, eh?
Yeah.
They puzzle out. They realize, wait a minute. The problem is, I love the way that the
looks like we're kind of out of the mountains now.
It's really like electronic.
Crazy.
It's pretty fun, eh?
Yeah, that was fun. Let's go again. No, that's okay.
But the problem is that the first 2 laws are perfect because the robot, it had to do with the fact that the guy wasn't urgent enough. He asked Speedy to go get the science juice. He was like, hey Speedy, go get the science juice. What he needed to do was say, like, Speedy, go get the science juice at all costs. Like, no, just like that's the most important thing. But because he didn't do that, he was like, hey, go get that Speedy for the science juice.
go 50 kilometers an hour the whole way and still make it before the computer thinks we're gonna make it. So I don't know what the fuck. Like, it was gonna have to be like that the whole way to Whistler, and I know Pemberton and Whistler are both two major cities. I'm like, there's no way the highway is like that between them.
First idea is like, I don't know, I think the first idea is like, make the volcano more like,
Actually, I might even have, I might have the guide. What?
What?
Mom's telling me to put the window up.
Yeah, it's just further down the road.
Yeah, so they can't get him to break out of the loop, and that's this runaround. Yeah. That's why it's called runaround. He just keeps getting caught in these circles.
And then they think, oh, I know, we'll like kill ourselves, like somebody, we're gonna just put ourselves in danger, mortal danger, and that will allow the first law to outweigh anything else, because without his lack of action, you know, with a lack of action by Speedy, we're gonna, you know, come to harm, so that should override everything. And then the problem they run into there is they start to put themselves in danger somehow, if I forget how. And then the old robots that they found, and they're like riding around like robot horses, that they immediately save them, like, because they're right there. So that, and then I don't know, how do they end up getting out of this thing?
Yeah, so it's a little weird. Like you said, you got the problem pretty much right. So, and I like this inversion a lot, because usually when you think about as an robots, you think about like, how did the robot find a way to kill a human? But instead in this story, the solution is centered around like putting yourself in danger so that the robot is forced to protect you via the first law, as you said. And so what I think basically happens is they put themselves in danger by putting themselves out in direct sunlight, whether they're going to die from the heat. And like you said, the old robots have this like basic version of the first law, so they're still trying to go out and help them, like a less evolved robot animal is sort of what you're describing. And then I think my reading of it is,
by the way, side note on that, his whole thinking was, well, these early robots, people were so scared of robots that they made them not even be able to function unless a human was riding them.
Right, which is why they can't just get this.
Right, yeah, it's kind of an artificial way to make sure they can't get this.
Whoa!
Yeah, that was a little deceiving there. I was like, okay, the yellow line.
Easily solved. What if something happens and like Speedy, the concern becomes severe enough for Speedy that the old robot is not going to save the guy, so he breaks out of his loop and saves him.
Did somebody let off?
Maybe.
But it is a weird moment where it's like they've set up this amazing tension, and like you wonder, is this guy going to die because this old robot is trying to save him and he needs the new robot to try to save him, and they can't teach the old robot to be smart enough to stay. It's just a great moment of like different levels of technology coming together to screw a person.
Look at the creep.
I know, eh?
Which I love, but I think what's funny is
beautiful.
I mean, these laws, it's interesting that we refer to it as like, oh, those are the 3 laws of robotics. And like, from what I can tell now, I haven't read Philosophy or anything, but it's not as though he sets this up.
I think this would be busy if it was like summer holidays, like July and August, where all the kids are all
and almost all those stories, right? You're right.
I wouldn't be surprised if this would be busy, but
viewed as problematic.
No, it's not. The kids are still in school.
No, but if it was July and August,
Oh
like,
yeah, for sure. If it was in peak time.
And it's also robot ethics. Yeah, it's a starting point, but it's also an end point. It's something that I think is valuable to notice in the paper. The show this time talks about like top-down approaches to AI ethics versus bottom-up approaches, where the idea is that top-down would be like setting these rigorous kinds of laws, like Asimov's laws, or some sort of, you know, sufficiently properly weighted consequentialist laws of some other sort, versus like learning machine AIs that learn from the bottom up
I do.
Hot.
Yeah, can I take a second to apologize for this, but I want to
So she's saying hat.
something I meant to talk
Hat,
about like, a year ago in some form. And there's a lot of those things. I'm going to make an argument for why philosophy is important. That's good. And yeah. There was an Italian, I'm not sure if you saw this, you probably did, but you know, certain James Lindsay and Peter Petrosian. I want to say somewhere around a year ago or so, they're really anti-intellectual, anti-academy. Anti-humanities, at least.
Chapeau is a
I think, not Peter Petrosian, but James Lindsay, I think his whole argument against philosophy is about trolley problems.
Because the Shah sound from English, you were there.
It's such a, essentially
the CH in English makes a chop sound, right?
Jerk off kind of.
Where French makes a shot sound.
Exercise. All that matters is study the psychology of what humans would do in that situation, and look at the question that way. Like this is an example of philosophy gone awry. This is meaningless, just waste of publishing. Purity, whatever. And then what I was going to point out, and I don't know if I tweeted back or whatever, I think I was preparing to talk about it, is imagine applying that to this ethical question of, which is a very important question of self-driving vehicles. Oh, let's just study what the self-driving vehicles already do. Like, no, what are you talking about? We need to have a philosophical discussion about what is, because you don't have literal trolley problems.
No.
Real life because of the self-driving technology.
You don't. Does an elevator have trolley problems? No. It kills people.
Run into this school bus.
Right? If it can stop, it stops. If it can't,
or am I going to avoid the accident by hitting like an old man?
No. This is like grade school philosophy fucking shit, man.
School bus full of kids. But if your answer is, well, no, just study what the psychology of the self-driving vehicle and find what it would do.
It will stop. That's all it will do. It will stop. They're not going to be leaping off the fucking road and into the bus shack. And frankly, it's way more dangerous for them to have that ability.
Nonsensical. And we shouldn't program in our intuitions automatically without evaluating them, without kind of looking them over and trying to.
How many times in your entire history driving have you had to decide between killing the old man walking his dog or the bus stop full of school kids?
We actually just did.
Like when were you presented with that ethical dilemma? Never. Right? Never. It's great for a thought experiment, but we don't need self-driving cars to be able to make that decision. If something happens and they don't understand, stop the fucking car. If you can't stop the car, get in an accident. If someone dies, well, it'll be like what happens when an elevator kills someone.
On a lot of these fronts, and
an accident.
I think your tying in of the trolley problem is 100% right. And we've talked about this on the show some. We'll give it its own episode at some point for sure. But let's look at the first law of robotics again to see how important this is. Right? I mentioned the law says a robot may not injure a human being or through inaction allow a human being to come to harm. Right? So if your robot is your bystander, in a trolley problem case, and they have the choice of killing one or letting
driving for
die,
less than 20 kilometers.
The first law gives them no answer to that question.
Yeah, because there's nothing.
They would have to shut down.
Sit there and go, blah, 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 and then there'd be like sparks.
Yeah.
Because we're talking 1940s robots, so it'd be like,
the head goes up like the rocket sock. So that's a major problem, right? If you're gonna...
I love how that it can somehow perceive everything that's happening. Like, it has eyes, it can somehow see and evaluate what's going on, but like it can't, if it has like a basic logical function, and if it jams up, then it's just like,
it's getting sharper
and
there,
over
right?
the course of all of those short stories that I mentioned earlier, this gets more and more sophisticated. So like, Asimov is brilliant, and he explores ways of tiebreakers and things to try to resolve these various kinds of problems. And what's fascinating is they mirror in a lot of ways the actual, I think, philosophical arguments that people have.
How fast would you go right now with this?
The way that we
I don't know.
Slice
50
up
maybe?
intuitions
60?
and how they can sometimes be manipulated. So how killing
What's the limit? 60? I probably have it set at 60. And then some of the sharper corners just tap the brakes.
Given the choice between injuring a human or allowing a human
whatever you're comfortable with. It's not what I'm comfortable with, right?
Prioritize not injuring versus allowing to come up. Like there could be important distinctions.
Yeah, like if it's a tiebreaker, you're saying like
you're
somehow faced with a binary choice, you and your robot body, because we all know. Right. You come at some situation, whether it be a trolley or what, where it's like, I can either let one person die or kill one person.
No, they paint the back of the signs green, and if they're both painted green, I guess it means the sign is
demographically equal.
No good anymore.
Same in all
what does it mean?
Yeah, same in all relevant ways.
Why is it green? Why is it not green?
Because it's supposed to be for this side, or it's an old sign that doesn't pertain to anything anymore.
Like this is a rectangular.
Right, so that must have been a speed limit.
Oh, they just painted over it. Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
How many people would you need to be
I get.
I guess it's easier than. I mean, it's
taking it
stupid,
off.
but yeah.
Right. 1.0.
I guess maybe not in a way. Like, if they need a signpost there, 15 years from now, they can go and take the old side off.
Or they put it back up for winter.
Yeah, or very good point. That's almost probably exactly what it is. 100%. Yeah. Every year they come out and change the signs.
99 is much less.
And they just spray it with something and the paint comes off.
Does it tip over into
it's like where the corners are.
And that's where I totally think the psychological questions are very interesting. Like, don't get me wrong, I think it's interesting to look into the psychology of why we have these things, why we have these intuitions. I think that all the questions are interesting. Like, it's both interesting to write papers and do studies about that, and maybe even like get us in a functional MRI and like really see what's going on in our intuition. And it's also important to, in a strictly philosophical sense, discuss the ethics problem involved and try to come up with like what ethically, if we can separate ourselves from our biases, what might be the most ethical outcome.
Yeah, and the
ice always forms on bridges because the ground, you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's why I went. Did you fart again?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, here come the mountains now, eh?
I was just gonna say, like in Winnipeg, without that big frost happened or that big rainfall, and all the bridges were closed because it was just sheer ice.
Yeah.
Just before winter.
Even a human killing someone by accident, or even a human killing someone on purpose with a car, versus an AI self-driving car either accidentally or choosing to take the life of a human being. And I think if we can't get clear on our share, if we can't find a set of shared intuitions about how to program that car, we may not be able to program it in a way that is going to be universally satisfying. And then it's a question of, do we still put them out even if there are people who will have substantial ethical objections to their sort of fundamental programming, or like how do we square these social conflicts essentially? But it also points to how we may not, like for a more sophisticated AI, right? If we're talking about like trying to create an AI that acts ethically in more ways than just like how many humans it runs over, right? You start to face really
and that is all cool now. Throwing your head sideways.
That's the major problem we'll point to is that like there are concepts in these laws that are vague, like human being. There is sort of problems where, in order to sort of make the robots safe, you effectively maybe either push the robot towards enslaving us or towards being a slave itself. Paradoxically enough, like on the one hand, right? If you prioritized,
feels like I just tapped on the I tapped it fast, but I didn't. It's weird. Does that happen to you, Ron?
Yeah, you just have to get a feel for it. It's normal. The brakes on this will be a little bit different than
because it charges up, right? It's a hybrid car.
Exactly.
So I'm just gonna max.
I do notice when I slammed on my brakes that one time when that girl just cut me off out of that.
Call it a day, right? You're all safe.
One that was out of an accident.
Like the second or third day we had it there, or when you went to work. Either way, it was second or third day we had the dash cam.
Yeah. And the brakes sounded like they were low. go. Like there was barely no brake, just how it sounded. Like it was like, it was weird. It's like it's a brand new car, so brakes shouldn't be all worn out anyways.
And like define that already for a robot.
You know, one thing that I run into that I keep thinking about with this and stuff like Westworld and this kind of talk, and this may be like a computer science question. I don't know if you can answer anything, but I'm sure our audience will have thoughts. But I don't think this is possible. Like, am I crazy to think that, yes, if we're dealing with a steam-powered, like, 1940s robot, it makes sense to think about this, like, oh, the logical Rule 2 thing. But, like, if we're dealing with real robots, or anything that approaches a complex thinking machine, the idea that you can even do some sort of top-down rules to me makes no sense, because how do you, like, just from a processing perspective, every single action that it would take at any time would have to first be run through these logical, like, restraints. You know, like, okay, is this action going to lead to a violation of the first law, the second law, the third law, or is this combination of action with this action I took earlier, is that going to, you know, like, that would be impossible, you know? And it reminds me of in Westworld, when there were certain, what was it, like, there were certain like programming overrides, you know, that on one hand the main robot guy, what was his name?
It's been so long.
Yeah. Okay, I'll go back. On one hand, the main character, who, in spoiler alert, in the first season we found out was a robot, like the guy who actually worked programming robots. It's like there's an override that just takes over his brain, and I always wonder, like, is that even possible with a free thinking, you know, like free will robot?
No.
For whatever that means, like an advanced, conscious, sentient thing.
That's what separates sentience from.
That's going to stop any thought process that's ever going to violate these directives. Is it even possible to have like a thinking, free agent, at least in a human sense, with that? You know, is that even possible?
I totally get your question. First, let me just say, I think, from what I understand, I'm not a doctor, but like the scientists tell me that this kind of top-down thing is highly implausible, that you're right in the intuitive sort of first impression sense that like this is just not the way it's going to work, and that like they lean more towards the learning machine. I want to in a second talk about the potential issues with that,
but like I could imagine, I was thinking like, is this just because of my feeble human brain? Like obviously the human mind can't work like this. Like we can't, I mean, barring some major weird breakthrough, there's no way to like make yourself not think about something, for example, or like make yourself, you know, or make yourself not have a memory that you have, that kind of thing. But I mean, it's possible. I wouldn't rule out by any means, but it just seems implausible that even like a super advanced robot could still function well, but have a top-down rule that's like it's always having to evaluate against all these other possible actions.
It's absolutely mesmerizing.
I would say
I just, as you're driving around, I'm just looking at it. Like, just look at that.
You could likely program into its goal structure certain fundamental goals that have an extremely high priority. And in that sense,
pretty good down rafting going on down that road.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Well, I guess again because it's.
But I think you're right that
you know 4 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon, but
its abilities to reweight itself.
I can't.
Needed to make them more effective than.
Yeah, maybe if it was a Saturday afternoon, we'd see some people going down there, or maybe they're not allowed.
Yeah,
I mean, I imagine some people would say fuck it and go down anyway, but I mean, what are they gonna do?
Take a chance.
Blocks that we might have put on it. Now let me just add one more thing in here.
The thing is, if I try setting up my cruise, I can't accelerate.
It's actually closer to the reality.
Yeah, you just you push the gas and you accelerate. And then you let it off, and it goes back to 62.
You literally have to press it all the way to the bottom. Oh, I see. Okay.
That part I think is actually.
You want to get that one? Bring it home?
Holy shit. I saw it. I'm like, strap it on the hood of the car. We do have somewhat of a rafting out there. It's kind of put in an angle.
I don't know if we'll be able to make it through the tunnels.
The idea that you would have an alarm system
We'll just have to go like this
just sort of
somehow.
sits running in the background doesn't
What if your first starts to turn? Imagine if you turn
takes over control instantly.
like a dog
Is actually
trying to
some people's view
get
of
a
big old bone, or
stick to the doorway.
So I do think that he does a good job presaging that a little bit.
She's been really good today, eh?
And I do think that, like, again, there are important
I
ideas.
think she was going through something bad, like a little bug.
Tummy or something.
Her ears.
Yeah, it
pressure.
could be going in and out of the mountains. Well, we've been going in and out of the mountains here too. And my ears popped a little bit.
Not as intense as a freaking high up there, Ron. This.
Where it's like the robot should obey
This is not as
social
bad.
norms as long as they.
I felt the popping one.
Where the fuck would you go if you were coming this way and the road was closed?
Right, so you could still.
There was side street.
Yeah, I know. If you're coming this way, you'd be blocked in, no doubt.
Oh, yeah.
But if you're going like that way, where the fuck would you go? All the way back to Lillooet or whatever? It was like, that was an hour and a half up the road. And if it's so shitty that this road is closed.
Like us, what happened when we were up the mountain? It was closed. We had to fucking go all the way down, right?
Yeah.
There was really no way to go nowhere else. We can went one way or the other way. Oh, look at that phone. Are you gonna take a
Oh no, I paused it. Oh, whatever. We got it mostly on the camera, I think.
If it's doing what you want it to do, it is at some point, I think, going to make choices that you might feel ambiguous about.
I can't make a baby.
Yeah.
There are situations.
It's like a grown woman trying to make a baby laughing and make a baby
Sometimes the robot's
laughter.
going to save the one, and sometimes it's going to save the five, and you're going to second guess its choices.
Definitely an avalanche happened
How
there.
we deal with second guessing
An avalanche over there. Just the other trees toppled down.
And it may come back to these kind of deontic principles potentially of like, you know, that robot shouldn't have violated that one person's autonomy by shutting them off the tracks or something like that.
I have a good, what's the word? Maybe like a potential dystopic scenario for the After Dark. We're already running out of time, but yeah, I like how you lay that out, and I also wonder, you know, one final note from me, I guess, on this is just like, it's funny how seriously we take this when it's a robot, but like we're totally comfortable with the idea that all kinds of humans every day violate ethical norms all the time. Like it just happens. We don't. And furthermore, people who are like way more powerful than we are. You know, it's not just a power thing. Like, yeah, I guess on one hand, if you're talking about a massive robot super AI apocalypse, then yeah, okay, we should be worried about like whether or not a planet-wide like war, a robot army can pop up. But if we were hypothetically talking about more like an Asimov scenario where it's like there's these androids walking around among us, like we're so worried about whether we'll dial everything in perfectly. Meanwhile, you know, I'm pretty sure that linebackers in the NFL violate the law all the time. You know, stronger people who could beat the crap out of us at any minute are walking around with every possibility of violating the law and ethics and all the time. And that's comfortable in our minds. You know, we're not in love with it, but like it doesn't threaten our like ability to function. I think in a way that I feel like people are so caught up on like, will the android
Yeah, I think I saw someone
accidentally through inaction,
finally.
of a combination of rules that it doesn't.
Well, I was just really surprised. This looks like this would be like world-class canoeing, you know, or kayaking, you know what I mean?
Well, the look of this, there's no current though, right? It's flat. So
I just meant this part of the world.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Be like, if you were into kayaking, this would be where you'd want to come. And no, it wasn't a floating log.
Why are you guys there? That's very dangerous. Holy moly.
What the hell are they doing? Just enjoying the beauty, I guess.
That we're gonna have. We
watch our shoulder. Oh, this is tough.
Robot horses, just like we need cars that cause accidents all the time.
And I think the funniest thing, the description of the horse, I don't think they're even described it. They're more like, I think they're almost like bipeds that you ride like Yoda style in a backpack. That was how I was envisioning them.
It's fucking
like
incredible.
Sort of like Holy rock monster kind of robots.
Look, there's a big log jam here.
As contrasted.
Oh, that's what that was. I thought it was like a
the guy from Short Circuit.
dirt, an island.
Oh I don't know, maybe it's beavers? I don't know.
We're running out of time.
No, beavers would be higher. Beavers
That
would
mountain is
I
unbelievable.
love talking about
Beavers would block off the
science
freaking
fiction
river
from
rot.
super
Yeah, the
long
whole
ago
river was
that's
blocked
like,
off, didn't you
there's
see?
ways in which
Well,
it's
it would be
so
higher.
important, but also ways
They
that
wouldn't
it's
be
like,
no water coming down the other way.
No, they block it off over there so that this part goes up, and then they can build their house over here. You know how they work.
It's like
Yeah, I
watching
know how they
the
work.
old Twilight Zones, you know?
I didn't fully see. I was
So stupid, and then the other half, like, oh my god.
Some of this doesn't even have any freaking edges from it. You guys want to go for a swim?
Really interesting.
Yeah, and I think it'll be fun for us to work through
I said that to my
more
mom
of
one
these
time when
Asimov stories
there was a
from
flood
iRobot.
2 years ago or whatever, and the ditches in Altor were full.
Concepts develop.
I said, like, well, no, I'll go first. I was like,
I agree
no,
with you, it
because like, don't
absolutely,
go.
like,
I was like
it's
scared because we're
really
surrounded by
silly
water.
that people dismiss this kind of stuff because I think it's important and it's very difficult and it's going to impact people's lives a lot going forward. And we don't have good answers to these questions yet. Like, we're still grappling with giving.
Well, I think I do. You just trolley problem just prevent the loss of the most life. That's what I think.
Oh, I was gonna go with dual
Was it
drifting.
here that they did? What was it?
To be able to
Where you
take out
couldn't
the
see
light.
if you watched the creature would kill
I think
you.
we need to
you die, you
recast
go
these
crazy.
trolley well, we'll do another show. We need to
With the
recast
Sandra
them in
Bullock
terms
the main
of,
character.
hey, you're going
Bird
to have
Box?
to hear
Bird
about
Box,
the families
Just
of
picturing
one
Bird Box
person
are
who
going down
died
the river
versus
and then
all
all of
the
a sudden
families of 5
you
people
know,
who
these
died. Like, reframe it in terms of like the cost of human life, and then maybe that'll be a way to like get our intuitions away from like, no, I would never throw the one man on the track to save the 5, like, you know, that kind of.
How many robots would you throw on the track to save the human?
How many robots? Well, I mean, presumably you can recover the robot brain, in ways that you can't. That's another problem. Maybe we could get rid of all these ethical questions by just making humans like completely incapable of being killed. Let's just do that.
It worked great in Altered Carbon, didn't it?
Exactly. Let's make cloud backups for all our brains, and we don't even have to answer these pesky ethical questions.
I mean, I think that you could honestly have a robot that would, like a super intelligent guardian robot that decides that human flesh is too unreliable. So I'm going to upload all the humans to the cloud, and they're all going to live in a virtual world that I can make sure is, you know, fluffy, safety land, like in Rick and Morty. And they're all just going to bounce around, and it's going to be fine.
We'll leak this over onto the After Dark. There's a lot of fun stuff to talk about After Dark. Make sure to head to patreon.com/0G for a little uncensored Robot Thomas and Robot Aaron discussing our own programming and slash dystopias. iRobot, Asimov, dystopias. But we need to do the things we do every week, which is, what are we going to be talking about next week?
Next week, we've held off, but we are gonna, before it disappears from our minds, we're gonna cover Endgame. So we've given y'all literally 3 weekends worth of time to go see it, which I think is a fair amount of time before we start discussing major plot points. And I think our plan is we're gonna do a normal episode where we talk about important philosophy stuff and keep our griping to a minimum, and then we will do a NASA on it like we did with Infinity Wars, where we can properly let loose on issues we might have with this epic 10-year-in-the-making masterpiece.
I love it. Great idea. And then what are our fine top, definitely not a clone patrons having you say this week?
Yeah, special thanks to Philip Gatt, Speaker for the Dead. I went 0 for 8 in my bracket challenge. Anti-perfect bracket for the win. And
that's the NHL bracket. It was impossible. It was all 4 number 1 seeds lost in the first round. It was absolutely impossible.
Yeah, is it just because like there's an indistinguishability problem between the different
one lane, right?
Like that's part of the game, or
It may look like it's going to be one lane.
Like you
just can't tell which team you're betting on.
Yeah.
Or like
no, it's actually an interesting statistical thing to talk about. Where
it's
it's like
problem in Game of Thrones, right? Where I just can't see who's fighting who at any point, anything.
Yeah, no, in basketball it's like it's pretty deterministic. Like the better team usually, you know, high probability of winning in the playoffs versus hockey. It's not that way. It's interesting to imagine, think about why that is. Like sample size of scoring and all that. But anyway,
and special thanks to Too Frustrated to Be Clever this week, which I fully understand. There's much to be frustrated
I
about.
saw that van.
We appreciate your meta clever.
Nice. All right, thank you so much for listening. Thank you most of all to our patrons, and come join us on After Dark. It's very
he's behind.
I see on my back there.
After Dark bonus discussion every single episode. You can hear those. Also the NASA's that we just did. Oh, we did we even talk about the fact that we released the NASA?
I did promote it some, but we should say again, we did release Johnny Mnemonic with Keanu Reeves.
Now, I can't tell, that was so well done that I actually did sound like you had a robot malfunction. You're in the middle of your mnemonic. Yeah, you did. Your gears.
Yeah, Data can't
got
do
water on Aaron's
and
gears.
I can't do eminence.
Yeah. Yeah, Johnny Mnemonic. I make a very bold claim about how bad that movie is. That
I liked it.
I think it.
I haven't seen it in years. Maybe I should rewatch it.
That was fun. Go check
When
that
was the
out.
last time you saw it?
NASA.
10 years maybe.
4?
I saw it on Netflix or one of our streaming, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll watch it. I think it was Amazon Prime has it.
What was it?
Johnny Mnemonic. One with Keanu Reeves.
Oh, what the fuck? There's a band behind me. Oh, that's a different band.
Oh shit.
Oh, this guy's like powering through, eh? Should let him by.
Well, it's safe to do so, yeah. Pull in here or something, I don't know.
I'll pull in by the bridge.
And let's say we come up with that, and it's like very advanced, it's very systematic, it's comprehensive for the most part.
So what you're saying is James Lindsay releases the Comprehensive Grievance Study math book, and it solves all of the math problems for math involving morality.
That was a different band I was thinking about.
No, that wouldn't have been. They must have stopped somewhere because they came all the way from Kamloops. They weren't there when we almost saw the accident.
Oh,
they were there. They were.
The first one.
They were behind us and they passed us.
I was thinking about the big brown van, the one that let us pass. That's what I thought that was. Yeah, holy shit, the guy's like just zooming in and out.
Yeah, you're getting beaten by a van, but
Sure, but this is 60, okay? Some of these turns are sharp.
yeah, they are. It's a pretty intense country. He's going very fast, especially for having a big old van like that.
Was he at British Columbia? Is that what?
Yeah.
So he's probably familiarized with these roads. Like, fuck, I know this in the back of my hand. Right?
You know when you're endlessly scrolling social media and suddenly you see it?
It's a one bridge.
It's your friend Dylan in Hawaii on another vacation. What do you do?
Another one of these bridges.
Photo and immediately go to hotels.com and book a vacation so epic, so awesome, so sweet that your friends will invite you to a trip. Hotels.com. Be there, do that, get rewarded.
Oh, he turned around.
Heard about
Is that? No, that's
different.
It's big jets with the same color car. Are you right there, Mom?
Yeah.
Yeah. Munchkin's good? Sounds okay. Oh, look at the glaciers. Look at that. Holy moly. Those are definitely glaciers, because look at the ice on that rod. Can you see it?
Unbelievable.
And I thought it would be the coolest thing to ride on the main road on the yellow line and go and try to keep up with
Try and stop in Pemberton. I want to stretch my legs anyway.
Okay. Pemberton's the one that's coming?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought we'd be able to make it to Whistler, but the computer was right. This road was so slow. It was so slow going. But it was worth it though. Holy shit, eh?
Yeah. Oh, he did. Knows what the fuck it's talking about. Yeah. There's something that we did not know, right?
I still think we're gonna make it before 5:30, but well, maybe not now if we stop for 15 minutes. Let me see. Do I have reception or no? No service.
into the box of Legos. And it was a tall box, and I got stuck in it with my thighs on my chest.
He says, sit down.
It was a box of Legos. And he opens and he sees me.
It's 13 outside right now. Look at their trees. Yeah.
I never did that again, that's for sure. I think even today I'm going to ride my bike on the yellow line of any strip.
This is Muhammad
Lunch, eh?
Gosh,
one of Forrest Ryan kids.
Tells you that how much power it has, right?
We deserved it. Belts, slippers, wooden spoons, shoes, plates.
My mom could toss a slipper up from her foot, catch it,
Yeah, I can
shoot
use
it
the
from
stretch
the
to
kitchen
my
into
butt
the living
cheeks.
room, and hit me with pinpoint accuracy.
I still has
all in one
circulation in
motion.
there.
It's like she has superpowers. And I'll be honest, being afraid of getting hit probably did keep me from doing a lot of the bad stuff that my friends were doing. I don't feel traumatized by it. Actually, it made me feel tough to be able to take it. But lately, I've been rethinking that because of something that happened with Muhammad. I'm Eamon Ismail, and you're listening to Man Up. On this show every week, we tell honest stories about our lives and investigate where we get our ideas about what it means to be a man. So, last year, Muhammad's wife Lillooet gave birth to 2 twin boys, Adam and Ali. And all at once, my brother went from being the toughest guy that I knew to the one with the biggest heart. I always
So this was a more scenic route, right? The other one would have been the same distance, or would have been further distance?
Yeah, further distance, but because you can go faster, it took about the same time. Might have even been faster, actually.
Why Muhammad seems determined to reject what we all knew.
Remember when I was like, I hope everybody's turning left? That the proper way, or not proper way, but
thousands of people book trips on hotels.
You go left
that you will later hate like
from there.
on social media. What's it hate like?
But then, if I remember correctly, then it was almost not even worth it to come to Whistler. You might as well just gone straight to Vancouver. But one of the main reasons I wanted to go on the trip was with the Ice Road Parkway, but also the Sea to Sky Highway, very, very famous.
Hotels.com.
And that's basically that's Whistler to Vancouver. So that's what we're gonna do tomorrow.
You ever find yourself trying to get from point A to point B?
And it also will have a couple attractions, like waterfalls and stuff for us to check out.
If you're sick of waiting like I am,
well, Boosted
makes these vehicle-grade electric skateboards and scooters that are the perfect transportation solution. They've got a 22-mile range and max speed of up to 24 miles an hour. Boosted is perfect for both going to the store or meeting up with friends across town. They're designed to provide a luxurious experience. So it's no wonder that Boosted was one of Time Magazine's best inventions in 2018. They've got 5 options to pick from, including their new scooter, the Boosted Rev. It's a personal electric vehicle and it's tailor-made for you. Right now, Boosted is offering our listeners $75 off their purchase of an electric vehicle when you use the code MANUP at checkout. Go to boostedboards.com and use the code MANUP at checkout to get $75 off your vehicle. That's boostedboards.com, promo code MANUP at checkout for $75 off. Every weekend, my family gets together for some lunch at Muhammad's house in Edison, New Jersey. It's chill vibes usually.
I was like, no. I saw her fixing the blanket. I was like flinging it right off.
One time I looked over my shoulder and I noticed that baby Ali had crawled over to my boob and was seconds away from giving it a lick. So my instincts kicked in. I shouted, "Hey Ali, no." And then I was immediately scolded. You told me not to talk to your kids like that.
Well, I don't remember it.
No way.
Twin Dad life. See, it's not about who's yelling. It's about any yelling at all.
Hearing Muhammad, big tough Muhammad, say this felt like it was coming out of nowhere. We both grew up in a house where yelling was a constant.
People, especially children, really young children, are sponges. They learn
what does that mean,
to behave from the way
like old water, so sponge soaks up water.
And so
children soaks
they're
up.
sponges. Oh, I misheard him. They're like sponges. Yeah, no,
to pay attention.
I misheard him. I heard something else.
Raise your voice and get aggressive. If that happens often enough, they're going to think that's how you communicate. And I think it's really important to show them the right way to communicate. Show them
smart
the right way to behave.
Oh, because I've been using it too much?
No, I don't know why. Maybe a bug or something got on one of the
sensors? We're definitely yelling at each other to communicate about pretty much
Try and turn it on again and see what happens.
Happiness, yelling. Anger, yelling.
Maybe because I had my foot on the speedometer and it says, you know what, it's not worth having your foot on the speedometer to speed up all the time, but just
so I'm wondering what changed for me.
I'm assuming that's what it was.
I have a very vivid memory.
But I could see it's getting a little bit more sharp turn now.
Into just like a shouting match. Every single person was screaming.
Maybe the road between Pemberton and Whistler is so like this. I don't know. Well, I guess we'll find out soon enough.
If you look deeply at your 3 older siblings, there's one thing I think we all have in common, and it's same thing is true for women. The same thing is true for mom.
There's a reason why it says. Oh, there's a reason why it says 20. I'm sorry, you guys.
Probably shouldn't do that. What do you expect would happen?
I know it's like a
Is the elder older brother. He and Mohammed are only a year apart.
Sure?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Tough kids.
Your face was like,
I thought you were gonna hit the guardrail. I was like, oh my god.
No. No, I knew it came a little quicker than I expected it, but I could see how you thought of it.
They were battling each other.
I could see how you would have thought that too. I was like, fuck, I have to turn sharp. There's a reason why they said 20 down there. Because before I was like, 20, this is not too shabby, right? Like, it wasn't as bad. But now I was like, fuck, yeah, no, that was pretty bad.
Still have a scar today.
Are you worried at all about your baby now?
You got quiet now again. I was like, what the heck is going on? Mommy.
No, I'm not worried about that. I think competition is healthy. I think that, they can't be babied all the time. And to be clear, they are babies. But, it's already happening, and we don't get in the middle of that. They need to figure it out for themselves. My kids will fight over anything electronic. Put anything electronic in front of them, and they will fight to the death.
Now that sounds like the house that I
I'm
remember.
getting used to that.
We'd fight to the death for something as petty as sitting in the front seat every time we got in the car. We fought for respect.
Yeah,
and because Muhammad was the strongest and the oldest,
are we getting close at
he usually
least?
won.
75K?
You were honestly like a great role model. I looked up to you.
No, my 40s.
Thanks, man.
Mostly for the gigantic muscles. I'm not gonna use the word head, but
wow. I don't know if that's a compliment or I'll take it.
Hear me out. I remember being way too small for it. I might have been like 7 or 8 years old, trying to like lift the weights just so I can like be like you.
For me, looking at you as a younger brother, I remember seeing somebody extremely talented and with tons and tons of potential, but would rather spend it playing Zelda.
Oh, hell yeah. Time well spent, man.
I didn't know that about him.
And memorizing all of that.
I did not
time
know
codes.
that he likes playing Zelda.
And it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And I think the reason why it rubbed me the wrong way was because I saw that you had this tremendous talent that none of us had. And you didn't even recognize it yourself.
Muhammad would get so angry at me. We shared a room at one point, and he saw how much time I'd wasted listening to music.
That would be a good time to stretch out now. I am getting
he tried to intervene. He'd hide my games, physically tried to get me to sit and do my homework. He was the older brother, so he saw himself as having responsibility to discipline me. And back then, he did not rule out violence.
So
no, that's nothing. Sightseeing and
it's all about trying to get you
to
recognize yourself, to see yourself, to spend the time to understand yourself. And I would say at points I was really, really hard on you, taking your video games away or hiding the controller or
what's that?
Physically trying to get you to sit down and study for the SATs.
Yeah.
You're the one who took that controller?
No. The truth is coming out. The truth will set you free. So, I mean, I think just, it rubbed me the wrong way that you were this tremendously talented person who didn't know your own talent. And I think I felt like, Ahmed and Hiba were also very, very talented people. And they recognized that, and they worked at it.
Yeah, if you're driving a semi, you're supposed to pull in there and make sure all your brakes are properly adjusted.
And so, for me, as the older brother,
no, there's some rule in BC that's different that you're supposed to, because of all the mountains, you're supposed to check them every 6 hours or something like that. I don't know the rules because obviously not only do I not have my license, but I know some of the guys that do have told me in BC you're supposed to stop and check them every certain amount of time.
To get you to do stuff for even a minute at a time. Oh, I'm hungry.
I think it's mostly a relic from when guys still adjusted their brakes. Like nowadays, almost every truck and every trailer has self-adjusting brakes. But you used to have to, when you'd start, you'd have to check to see how much brakes you have left and like tighten it up.
To your own detriment, and you thought it was fun and funny to do that.
I'm only now realizing how crazy I drove my brother when we were growing up. He'd get really pissed, and
he wouldn't be shy about
It's one of the things that they test you for when, because I was thinking about getting my air brakes.
Play with his kids.
It's one of the things they test you for. You need to be able to know how to cage a brake and how to adjust the
I want
slack.
to know when he went from
And I was talking with the drivers at work, and they're like, "Yeah, you don't really." They're like, "You might need to cage a brake, but you're like, no, you never would need to adjust
from
the
scratch
brake,
together.
adjust the slack anymore."
And luckily, I'm the spender and she's the saver.
It'd be a real old
So
trailer.
It's been a lot easier than not, thanks to her. How that's changed between the point when we were married with no kids and then finding out that we were pregnant. You know, we went from a mode of, hey, we've been building for all of these years to now we've got to use everything that we built out.
A lot of men do that. They don't appreciate. Which is funny because this is a show. I like this show because they talk about what male identity is and what it means to be a man. And
it's not just.
And a lot of men like to do that. That they think, yes, Abriella is my daughter, and
in terms of attention,
yes, I helped to make her and I helped to raise her, but she grew inside you, right? You did more in making her, and that's just something that's a fact, right?
Because no just becomes a fun game to play.
But a lot of men don't, they think that they do half the work,
reaction.
And it's like, no, that's just not how it works, man. Like,
so
you dump a load in someone, and then they grow a baby for fucking 9 months.
And they're going to be doing something they really shouldn't be doing. I'm beginning to wonder exactly
I'll hop on your back and you can carry all the weight.
Exactly.
Have you
that would be at least something.
Do you know what kind of world you're in when it comes to discipline? Definitely not the discipline that I grew up with. And, there was, like a lot of people my age, there was physical discipline, there was mental discipline, and it was effective, I would say. And I don't think, in the modern age, it's relevant. I think that, the best discipline.
Yeah, we're sitting down pretty low. Not low, but not one. It's a pretty long stretch. I'm surprised Munchkin's been holding up this long.
She's been really good today.
She's been really good. Maybe she likes Nana in the back.
Physically,
hey?
verbally.
I think I'm gonna have to drive tomorrow. I don't think either one of you is gonna want to be pulling into Vancouver.
I'll sit in the back anyways, Mom. I'll be fine. Yeah.
And if you want, you can drive us into Vancouver if you want, Mom. We fucking 6 lanes. Bigger than Minneapolis, I think.
Chicago.
Was it like Duluth? No.
Oh no, it'll be it'll be like that. It'll be like 5 lanes, cars flying by, going everywhere. Yeah.
Like Paris. Like Paris. Paris was pretty intense.
And you've got old people then.
The roundabout's like 5 lanes or something.
Caution, old people crossing. Old people. So it means whether they're driving or they're walking.
I don't think fear.
But we were saying how Abby seems to have been in good spirits today.
Is a useful.
She did really well.
Very.
Flick it down.
I think
this
has evolved to that.
How long is it? 6 hours and 25 minutes?
Yeah.
So it's still a pretty long drive. Okay, yeah.
You had a very different.
Let's look it back up.
She had a good little play though when she was out.
I guess,
You have to let her play for an hour or half an hour.
I guess so.
Yeah, stretching out days she ran and everything, right? So she had that opportunity. Yesterday she didn't really have that much to do. She sat in a stroller and that's all she did. Right? It wasn't really running or stretching her legs.
Did you deserve it?
Let her walk whenever she can.
I think it might be because Nana's in it.
We put the harness on it.
I think it might be because Nana's in the back.
Yeah,
Nana's not going to always be in the back. We take turns, we said. Driving like a bloody race driver.
It went down the
wheel.
Oh, because the cruise was off. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
So
at what point are you slapping?
Because I slowed it down.
See, that's the difference, right?
We're gonna stop for a 10-minute stretch in 10 minutes or so.
Not escalation.
She's got this
I think that when you
now she's trying to get the plastic out.
Discipline your child, you're
How did you do
teaching
that?
them how to
The
escalate.
pillow thing?
Can't
When
see,
really
Jay, you're
our
driving.
world
The pillow thing?
needs to teach people how to
The-
Pulls the zipper up.
de-escalate the
She's
world
very
and be
clever, you
a
know.
much better place.
What is it she
The
playing
thing
with?
that goes around my neck.
Yeah, she did that with me
Now
a
she's
couple
trying to
times.
get the red
And the whole
thing off,
family's over at
so she can
Muhammad's
get
place to
to
get
the
forgiven.
white bit.
Yeah.
It's
The white-
Ramadan too,
the actual
so we've
pillow.
been fasting
Yeah.
all
Pillow.
day.
Wait till she tries to unplug it.
His twins are perched up on
Pop
top
it
of
off.
him with these cute smiles. It's kind of perfect. After the babies went to bed, Muhammad and I found this quiet place to talk.
My God, she's
I'm
clever,
still trying to
Rodney. Look at
understand
this.
at what point Muhammad
Shook it
decided
off.
to be like this, that he wasn't going to
Undid
be
the
like our
zipper, and
dad.
now she got that off.
It hasn't happened for me
There
yet.
you go. Now
How
what you
early
gonna
did you
do?
know that you were
Put it back
going to try to be the same dad
Now
that
what
I
are you
had?
gonna do?
Was it as soon as you grew up, or was it as soon as you had kids?
What are you gonna do
As we
now?
were growing up.
Should change much inside towards you once.
Yeah.
She hasn't had a poo today. Oh, she had one. Oh, she had the one this
She had
morning.
that mega poo this morning. What are you talking about?
She did have a mega poo.
To run into that
It wasn't as
kind
bad
of
as the one when we changed the
So,
car. That was
you know,
holy moly.
I
It was a
think
lot.
that,
Mind you,
The
I guess-
one where
It
we
was
had
all
to
in the
pull over,
front.
and you're like, stop, pull over.
plain and simple, right? Do I
That
think
guy
that
passed.
they're gonna get into fights?
Yeah,
I
stop,
hope
pull
so.
over the
I hope so.
shot.
I hope so. I hope that they do
Oh my god. They had some in my
I don't think
arms
that they should
everywhere.
feel like
Around
they
here,
need
a
to
little
defend
belly.
themselves against their father. Survival in the modern world is about being able to, especially the children, provide for them and show them that there is a better way, a better path than what you might have gone through. I got hit like crazy growing up. Do I think that was a positive influence in my life? No, absolutely not. Did I deserve it? Yeah, mostly. But, you know, I think that it'll take a lot for me to reach
Oh,
the
there was a
point
mosquito
where
that got me on the forehead.
reach out.
It's a bump, yeah. Or just by chance there was a spot there that I guess I scratched it. I didn't start
Never
bleeding.
to.
Yeah, there's a lump there.
Simultaneously, I don't want them to grow up in a culture of fear, a culture of
Have you ever
insecurity.
seen anybody blow anything up
No,
like
I
that?
just have convinced myself.
She's seen a balloon being blown up.
Because I
That's
from like
what
that
she's
urban
trying to get out.
background,
She's trying to blow it up.
there's more benefits
Really?
to that.
Or sure she's just not wanting to
than
use her
my
teeth to try to get it out?
Maybe just the way
Because
that
it might
I
work better than the
had to
hands?
contextualize myself in that environment when I
Blow
did go
it
to
up.
the suburbs.
No.
I know as a teenager, I felt like I had a chip on my shoulder. I felt like I had to.
You should could pull
act
that
like I
thing
was better
up.
than them. And one of the ways was probably because I can fuck you
Ooh,
up if I need to.
50%. Alright.
That's interesting, eh?
Carry a giant chain
If your semi's
on you all the time.
going wild, you just drive up there and it stops you.
Yeah, and maybe that's exactly why you were carrying it in the first place. I mean, look, you know, like, I think that in the stages of maturity, as you get older, violence isn't part of what
That's what
defines,
those are. Because that's not the first one we see, right, Rob?
It's the first one I've noticed.
Where, how,
Oh, the runoff. Oh, the other ones are just a path that you can get off if you really wanted to. That's what it is.
I spent all this time watching Muhammad, feeling like one day.
Like that, yeah, that's not a runoff
That's not a
lane.
And the fact that he was harsh.
I would use it if my tractor was running away.
But when I was showing you this boy,
No doubt. Like, you know, if it's between that or slamming into the rock cut, it
I feel like I know
head on, you know.
and had riding their bikes on the yellow line of the road.
Yeah.
Exactly how my dad did, using fear. Hey, it stopped Muhammad,
Holy crap.
and it
See?
stopped me from
And
doing a
cruise
lot of bad
control
stuff
is
too.
off, right? So yeah, I gotta remember
But talking to
that's
him,
how it is right
I'm
now.
realizing I might feel differently when I have kids of my own. Now, a big thank you to everyone who's been calling in and writing us
More.
emails. Your stories and ideas have been so thoughtful.
My ears are
An email we
popping
got
now.
after episode 1.
Mine popped a little while ago.
It says, "Hey, man. as a
Sorry,
father,
Munchkin.
I've struggled with feeling masculine while not being able to fight or play
Oh, look, it's
sports or
regenerating all of the electricity.
I was raised by
It's almost fully charged from coming down the hill.
so physical.
That's cool. Switch it.
But after my car accident,
Oh,
I
it doesn't make a
defined my
difference,
identity
yeah.
as a straight man somewhere else.
You're right, it doesn't
And eventually, I got
It's just I don't want to pull into Winkler with half a charge of electric, or not Winkler, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do know.
Whistler with a full tank of electric.
It's not about being the big tough guy who has sex with a lot of women. It's about mental strength and intelligence and taking care of people. I may not be a womanizing prize.
Oh my gosh.
Wow,
Thanks so much for your letters. I also grew up with a very traditional, manly soldier father, the way that you put it, I thought was good. So I had to spend a lot of time trying to learn different ways to be a man after that, because by association between being strong and tough with being a man. And that didn't really play out that well for me. I felt like I needed to create new connections between being smart and good, capable and being responsible with masculinity.
Wow.
That did not play into my vein. So I appreciate your sentiment. I think you're dead on. And it sounds like, to be honest, we all have a lot to learn from your experience. So thank you. Here at Man Up, we love getting emails like this, and we'd love to hear from you too. Do you have thoughts about this week's episode? If you're a parent, how's your parenting style different than how you were raised? Or maybe
Just because we're going
brother who was
so
hard on
slow,
you.
it feels like we should have been there right now, right?
Well, what did I say? I'm like, oh, there's no way we're gonna be there at 5:30 unless the computer knows something I don't. Yeah, it's 50 kilometers an hour for like 2 hours.
manup@slate.com, and we might share it on the show. Man Up is hosted and written by me, Eamon Ismail. Our producers are Danielle.
Oh, I thought that guy was standing in the middle of the road.
Our executive producers are Jeffrey Bloomer and Lois.
Yeah, he's waiting for somebody. He's like, okay, I'm here. Meet me up
Editorial director
here.
of Slate Podcasts. June Thomas is the senior managing producer at Slate Podcasts. And TJ Raphael is the senior producer of the Slate Podcast Network. Please leave us a review in Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening right now. We'll be back next week with
The
more
temperature
Man Up.
varies, Ronnie. It was like at 12 one time, it's at 19.
This episode of Charge is brought to you by
11,
Send Pro Online.
15. It just goes up and
You don't
down.
have time to waste
Oh, it's at
waiting in line to
19.
send your mail and packages. And who does? Send Pro Online from Pitney Bowes, it's for you. You can send packages and mail without leaving your office. Right from
Oh,
your
I can
desk.
see the red dots.
As low
We're
as
getting
$4.99.
closer.
With Send Pro Online, you can avoid all
that's
the
not it.
confusion around
That's
finding
somebody
the best
else's shit.
postal rates for your business. You can print shipping labels and stamps from your own printer. Gain special use
Mom, stop poking me.
letter and priority mail shipping. Track all your shipments and get email notifications when they've arrived. It works with everything from packages to letters. Just click,
the thing on her
send,
head?
and see.
Yeah, she's just acting silly.
And for
Yes.
being a Charge listener, you'll receive a free 30-day trial to get started. As an added bonus, you'll also receive a free 10-pound scale shipped right to your door to help you accurately weigh your packages. Go to pb.com/charge to access this special offer and get a free 30-day trial, plus a free 10-pound scale.
Yeah, there's another one there.
That's pb.com/charge. Experience the better way to ship with a free trial of Send Pro Online from Pitney Bowes. This podcast is a co-production of Slate and The Appeal, a new publication about the justice system. And it's a companion to my new book, also called Charged, and available wherever you buy books. Thanks for listening. Thank you. Previously on Charged.
What's going on?
I'm good, don't worry.
While he was in the youth diversion program, YCP, he got caught between the expectations of his social worker, Max McCreingold, and his friends.
Starting route for 7384 Cottonwood Street. In 8 kilometers, turn left onto Main Street.
So now, it's
Oh,
like
I didn't hear that part.
You in the bad one now.
Don't worry, it'll tell you.
Like you got the angel on your shoulder, the devil on your shoulder.
All I heard is turn left on the Main Street.
YCP's mission is to pull kids back from the edge of crime. But sometimes, directly or indirectly, the biggest threat comes from YCP itself. I'm Emily Bazelon, and this is Charged, a true punishment story inside New York's gun court.
Oh, it just changed all of a sudden, you brought. Boom, right in the. Jeez, buddy.
Over the last 2.5 years in gun court, I've talked to a couple of dozen defendants. I followed them through YCP, interviewing them in places that had my producers pulling their hair out. Like in the echoing hallway on the 19th floor, while they waited for a court appearance. Or while they played around with audio and videotape in a class they'd signed up for. Or as they ate a cheeseburger at a nearby noisy diner. There were people with long rap sheets in gun court, but they just weren't the hardened shooters that Mayor de Blasio promised to put away. I'm not cherry-picking here. According to the city's own reports, 3 out of 4 of the defendants were facing gun charges for the first time. I actually went through 200 files myself, one by one.
He's at
And
21
what I
now,
found
Rod.
went further.
It's at
The vast
21
majority
now,
of the people
degrees.
in gun court had no felony conviction on their record at all. A lot of the kids could put up a tough front, but underneath, they were panicked, and as often as not, they were there with their terrified parents. That's how I met Deontay. He was 17. He was sitting on a bench on the 19th floor with his father, a nurse who grew up in Trinidad. He used to send Deontay there for the summers, to visit his grandparents.
It's just so different all of a sudden. Like, we're still in the same area, really. BC, but... smell the wood.
As it happened, it was at the West Indian Day Parade in Brooklyn that Deontay got caught with a gun.
We was all getting dressed, and we was waiting on girls and stuff to come out the buildings, and we was gonna walk up the block, whatever. And while waiting for a girl to come outside her building, the cops pulled me over.
And how come you were the one carrying the gun?
Because I ain't really want my friend to have it on his waist, because I felt like if he would have took it, he probably would have went to jail for longer than me.
This calculus came up regularly in my reporting. The kids knew the cops could show up, and they made a spot judgment call about how an arrest could go down and do the least harm to the group. The guy without a record took the gun to spare a friend a longer sentence.
He's a 2-time felon. So like if he would have got caught with that gun, he would have went to jail for life.
But Deontay hadn't factored in gun court. Like Terrari, he was expecting something like probation, but by taking the fall for the gun, he ended up with a 3.5-year prison sentence. Then, his lawyer maneuvered his case through the escape hatch of YCP, the program run by the DA's office that diverted you from prison and gave you a chance to have your conviction vacated and sealed. In YCP, Deontay met a young social worker named Laura Smith. For her, success hinged on building a close relationship.
Deontay is like a little annoying.
There's another puppy over there.
Like every time I would talk to him, he would always have something to say.
Smelling something. Let's go see what's going on over there.
He always has something else to do. And I realized I put all my attention and love
That's
into
pretty
him
weird.
because I wanted him to get out. I always told him, like, I don't want to
Littlest
see your
hobo,
face
like
anymore in here. Like,
are you gonna go see
I see you outside? Yeah, we'll probably talk if you're not annoying me. But besides that,
Yeah, we would communicate regularly. It was just
Ice, can you say baby? Ice, baby. Vanilla ice, baby, to go.
Deontay had recently suffered a traumatic
She can say van. So I could only expression could say vanilla. Maybe I haven't heard of it. She knows I say van.
Really? I haven't heard her say that.
Green, yeah. When I said rouge, rouge like and then van. You heard her. You were impressed when I was showing you the colors of the blocks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and you remember. You're like, I was like, did you hear that, Rod? He's like, yes, I did.
Come back in, relax myself.
Smoking a blunt wasn't what Laura recommended. Sure, it was a common way to calm yourself down. But for Deontay, marijuana posed a real risk. This was true even though the drug became practically legal for most people in Brooklyn 5 years ago.
Brooklyn District Attorney
2.7 kilometers.
Huh? 2.7 kilometers.
No longer prosecute as many people for possessing small amounts of marijuana.
Oh, that's the one I was looking at there.
But this convenience wasn't universal, and that meant it came with a familiar hitch. In September 2017, WNYC reported that you were twice as likely to still get charged for marijuana if you were black or Latino than if you were white or Asian. And if you were a black kid in YCP and you got caught with marijuana, well, then you really had a problem. The cops would run your name, and your open case would pop up, and the police would haul you in, even if your friends walked. Social workers saw as many as a third of the kids they worked with get picked up this way.
it can be anything. I've had people get arrested for not swiping the Metro card, and it's all because the case is open.
Cops had a rationale for this. The NYPD wouldn't talk to me, but in a story about YCP in the New York Times, the deputy
sound like dish right on the tree.
Carry a gun.
Good place for it.
We will be relentless in following you. That didn't mean
will follow you in a moment when we see you.
Yeah, Moment's going
then, for the foreseeable future, we will put your name and description on a watch list.
Peux-tu faire l'avion?
Once you are on the list, the cops single you out.
Avion is plane.
Let's say at the open case, they're a target. They're targeting. Who's they? The police officers. There's a certain precinct or a certain officer that always comes to them and always arrests them.
Sounds like she's starting to bust out.
Yeah, she probably is.
Deontay was one of the white kids who got picked up for smoking marijuana.
No,
he had that
we're stopping in Pemberton, but there's a community center with a charging station. I was like, oh, well, that seems as good as anywhere.
Pichardo was Laura and Maxim's boss.
In 1 kilometer, turn left onto Main Street.
Main Street.
Defense lawyers
Who knew there was a Main Street in this area? I think about this. I think about the city when I hear Main Street.
And when he got frustrated with the
pretty much every town has a Main Street. Yeah.
To teach him a lesson.
Well, where with the Main Street?
Pichardo asked for jail time for Deontay. In light of Deontay's brain injury, his lawyer argued he should receive therapy instead. The judge didn't go for therapy or jail.
That's a church.
Instead, she sent Deontay home with an ankle monitor. It was the size of a chunky retro cell phone, and it was strapped to his leg.
Yeah, they're lodge homes. Cool. Oh wow, look at that. It's
Ankle
just like
monitors.
buildings all of a
When you picture them, it's hard not to think about misbehaving pop stars or mob bosses.
Turn left onto Main Street, then turn right onto Sea to Sky Highway.
Pose a flight risk. But in Brooklyn, the DA's office has been using them on a lot of young defendants. On the 19th floor, the kids talked about how to adapt to life attached to an electronic box, what clothes to wear, and how to sleep with the monitors plugged in, so they could recharge overnight. Here's a former defendant named Tyree.
After like 2 months of the bracelet, you don't really even, you've already bought in like the big pairs of pants and sweatpants and stuff. You already like outgrown not knowing how to
turn right onto Sea to Sky Highway.
Like move around with it. You know how to hide it.
Turn right?
You know how to like fold your legs when you sit down so nobody sees it. You know how to like twist it, or you know how to like not hit it.
I thought there was a deer there.
So you know how to
in 6.7 kilometers, turn right onto Portage Road.
Because the wire is like 10 feet long.
Watch for horses.
The
and riding
monitors
horses.
were a form of 24/7 digital incarceration. Even though, let me tell you
some
a
action
secret,
going on. Like,
the ones they were using in Brooklyn couldn't pinpoint your location. They could show you were in a certain range, but not whether you were inside your house.
We're all gonna get me out, Munchkin.
The
Well, actually, I
ankle
really
monitors
need to
weren't
go
so
for
much
pizza.
about
There was
precise
stuff
surveillance.
but
It looked like there was
About
some
the
stuff
very
around there.
illusion of surveillance, making the
Some
kids
stuff,
think
you know what I mean?
they were being 100% watched. In the DA's office, it was one person's job to keep track of the electronic signals the monitor sent. If your battery got low, you pressed an app, and that made the monitor ring and buzz.
The ringing and the buzzing is supposed to get you upset. It's supposed to make you comply.
Some kids just couldn't get used to the monitors, like
No, this
Deontay.
is Pemberton.
It's very annoying. Last night, it rang like 4 times. You can't even get a job with it.
Welcome
to Pemberton. I can't walk for no job and asking for an application because I got this incorporation on my list.
One night, after more than a week with the monitor on, Deontay couldn't take it anymore.
I cut it off because I was frustrated and I was angry with this being on my leg. Because this thing is tight and it's embarrassing. Yeah, it's embarrassing.
I understand you were angry and frustrated, but did you also know that that was going to cause trouble, or?
I wasn't even thinking that far along.
The consequences were immediate. When Pichardo found out what Deontay had done, he went straight to the judge. And this time, Deontay went straight to jail. This episode of Charge is brought to you by Gobble. I think most of us have faced a dilemma at the end of a long day. I know I have. Do you make a healthy homemade dinner? Or do you take the quick and easy route of ordering takeout or delivery? Gobble is the meal prep service that gives you the best of both worlds. Delicious, nutritious meals.
Just
ready
do a whole
in just
circle.
15
Come on,
minutes.
continue.
Gobble has options for everyone, including gluten-free, dairy-free, and vegetarian. This looks like when your family could be eating classic top sirloin steaks with mashed potatoes and baby carrots, pan-roasted chicken with plenty cheese and roasted broccoli, or sweet potato enchiladas with corn and black bean salad. Gobble's army of sous chefs do all the hard work, from picking out the highest quality ingredients to peeling, chopping, marinating, and making the perfect mixed sauces. And maybe best of all, most of their meals only take up one pan. So after you get your fill, you won't have to worry about spending lots of time on cleanup. Gobble is offering charge listeners a fantastic limited time deal. 6 meals for just $36, plus free shipping. That's dinner for 2 for 3 nights for just $36. Get this special offer now. Go to gobble.com/charged. Gobble.com/charged. If you've been enjoying this podcast, I want to let you know that it wouldn't have been possible without Slate's membership program, Slate Plus. The support from members has helped fund exciting projects at Slate, like Slow Burn and Standoff, and the daily journalism you see on Slate.com every day. If you want to help Slate continue this kind of work, please sign up for Slate Plus now at Slate.5 for the first year, and you'll get benefits like ad-free podcast feeds and discounted tickets to Slate's live events. And you'll get even more episodes of Charged. Sign up at slate.com/charged. Deontay's case reminded me, whatever relief YCP offered, the program was still an arm of gun court, with all its implacable harshness. While I was following Deontay's case, I met a 21-year-old whose nickname is Mark. 6 months into the program, he started dressing differently, wearing glasses with gold wire rims. He really impressed his social worker, the same Maxim Feingold who worked with Terrari. Mark turned into a YCP star, a poster child for the diversion program and reform.
I have 3 jobs now.
One of them was with the Speakers Bureau. Mark got recruited to be on panels.
Yeah, we're going to stop in about 2 minutes.
Mark spoke about his experience, the system, and also
If you just leave her, I noticed, she'll be fine. Pull her blanket on her, she'll do it herself. If she doesn't want, she'll pull it out.
Mark was all set to graduate from YCP. The end date was only weeks away. But then he got into an argument with a cousin's ex-boyfriend. Someone called the police, and Mark was arrested. To use the lingo of the courthouse, Mark's lawyer thought it was a bullshit charge. But still, Mark had broken the cardinal rule of no police contact.
He's like, did I just drive through that?
Huh?
He's like, did I just drive through that crazy road?
You know, the one-track mind on what he was planning to do with me earlier. Like, he came in the room like he knew exactly the story, like he watched it all play out.
Chardo ordered an ankle monitor for Mark.
I felt like a criminal, actually. Like, for the first time, no matter how much stuff I've been involved in, like, for the first time, I felt like a criminal.
Pichardo had done the same thing to a number of YCP participants. It was as if he was making himself the warden of his own digital prison. But
turn right onto Portage Road, then turn right onto Cottonwood Street.
No, that's further ahead, right?
The morning of Mark's next
This would be right here, yeah.
Okay, I thought it was further ahead. Sometimes it gives you a break.
In front of the judge, Wasserman claimed that
sometimes it, sometimes it gives you a head notice. Turn right
onto Cottonwood Street.
Cottonwood, not this one.
The judge's power.
Turn right on Cottonwood Street.
Authority.
Well, I can't fucking see that, Ron.
And none of it has scripted
200 meters, 150 meters.
But
shut your butt.
Butt.
Then the destination is on your right.
Okay.
What high drama often sounds like in a real courtroom. Right off, Wasserman raised the stakes by saying, quote, the district attorney's office had a monitor put on my client, restricting his liberty without...
I would be where? Here?
Is on your right.
Yeah, just look at there. It is over there.
Street.
Oh, okay. I can turn there.
Permission.
Charging it there.
Oh, there's looks like there might be another one. Oh, somebody is using
No, there's another one.
Wasserman is calm, but the challenge is clear. And then he says, quote, this was an extremely serious thing that was done, that should not have been done. No due process was used in this case to restrict his liberty.
Let's check out a little bit better, but... Oh, I guess we'll need it. Yeah, because it's on the other side, though.
It doesn't matter. It'll be able to fit.
will start now.
Oh, I didn't get too shit.
Oh, here's your phone.
Oh, thanks, man. Oh my god. We're gonna be stretching out, Munchkin. Yeah. Where's my sweater? My sweater was down here. Where's my sweater? Okay, what the heck? Sorry, Munchkin. Oh. She's a lot warmer than I thought it was gonna be, but. I don't know what I did with my phone.
Oh, well, let's not leave unless you put hands on your phone.
In the back of the courtroom, Mark's grandmother gasped.
It was in the backpack, but I thought we took it out, didn't we?
Quinones wasn't having it.
What are you looking for, Mom?
She ordered that Mark be freed right then and there. Quote, I am ordering that the ankle monitor be removed from the defendant.
My phone charged now, Rob.
Oh, yeah.
The judge's order reverberated in the courtroom. For a long moment, there was
No, Mom asked if her phone was charged. I was like, oh, yeah.
stripped of the power of your offense.
She's like,
and Mark and his grandmother walked out of the courtroom with a rare feeling for transport.
Okay. Oh, that was so nice. The longest pee ever.
What do you think about this town?
Cool. Cute. Nice. That's a nice little town. It's interesting. The people seem really nice.
Yeah.
One lady let me held the door for us. One lady didn't want to turn the fan on when I was changing that diaper because she was too scared to start laughing. Well, actually, I was a girl, teenager.
In the end, it wasn't just the judge who didn't think Pichardo should be making these calls. A couple of months after Mark's hearing, Pichardo was removed from his position as the head of
in there too, eh?
The DA's office still uses ankle monitors.
And the library
plans are
there's a
afoot
pool.
to change and expand YCP.
Did you know that?
It's not clear yet what that means.
Yeah, no, I nodded my head yes.
Oh, I didn't see. Like, if obviously, if I keep asking the same question, you see something, right?
Turn right. Trying to change a system which has been about punishing people for wrongdoing to say that's fine, but there should be some accountability. But jail is truly the last option. We should be using that very limited ways. If we can do it in Brooklyn with tough neighborhoods, I think it could be done in other parts of our state.
So half an hour, Bob, you said? Oh.
That sounds like a radical shift, especially for crimes that are classified as violent.
Oh no, yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah.
But the longer I spent in gun court,
okay.
in spite of the forces pushing to lock kids up,
Because he stopped there and someone waved their hand like, thanks for stopping. More I mean, he's like, well, I don't really have a choice.
Turn right onto Sea to Sky Highway.
You're allowed to drive, eh? Didn't let me finish off the road trip. Just kidding.
Do you want to?
No, that's okay.
On his last trip to the 19th floor, Maxim congratulated him. His mother was thrilled.
Continue on current road for about 39 kilometers.
That's a big deal. Ferrari doesn't have to check the felony box.
Nice having a break though?
It was alright.
There's an important way in which his record is.
Don't like my driving?
I like driving.
Yeah, I know. I didn't say that.
One day last January.
Don't like driving. I said, do you like my driving?
And I said, I like driving. That's my response to that.
Really?
I wasn't. No, I'm not taking. That's why I'm not taking a shot at your driving.
No,
I said I like driving.
Okay.
This can't be only 60. Is it really?
It is, yeah. I couldn't believe it either, Rod. Are you guys okay in the back there? The wind? I'll just close this.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. It must have been trucks that went by. I think I was reading about this town when I was on the toilet. It's actually a village, sorry. The only way to get here up until the 60s or the 70s was by train.
Really?
Yep. And they built this highway number 99 up through to Whistler. And it wasn't called Whistler, it was called something else. But yeah, there was no way through. So that road we took, Highway 99, is all relatively new. Yeah, well, as far as roadways go, like to have no passable roadway, and then that's
just not having that, like the train all the way to Churchill, right?
There's not many places on habitable places left that you can't, that people couldn't get to.
That to us is like, so not just picking up for What investigate? You ain't investigating, no, you said spitting on the ground. What's your badge number?
So taking them a long time to figure out the planning of where we should do the bridge, the road, right? Where we should start constructing the road, right? She must have taken them a while to figure out where she start the construction.
And our studio engineer. And basically everyone else. Charlie's voice in that video, mapping and everything, right? It seemed to grow out of all the times he'd been seen as a usual suspect. And maybe of a somewhat newfound vision of himself.
I'm tired of the reason I shot that video was to show that
fucking wasp bee roaming around the kids' place.
There's one smushed in between the hood and the...
I did. That looks like a yellow jacket. That one was I think it must have been it grazed on my arm.
I know, I heard you.
Oh,
you remember? Oh no, that was a different one?
This was at the play structure of the library. It literally rubbed on my arm, like, and I'm like, I was SWAT right until I realized what it was. That was, I don't know when that was. When was that one? First time. At the rest station. That's where it was. Where we plugged in the car. 2 hours ago or so. 3 hours ago.
The
That's what it looked like. It was a major. It looked like it was a major intersection of the road. To be extra cautious. Hard tension.
It's 6 o'clock, so supper time. So we'll get there, we'll check in, and then we'll figure out what we're gonna do. No, what did you think it was at first?
No fries.
Like no bugs?
No fries.
No fries. Take your potato loving ass elsewhere. Turn, and then this is where you arrive.
Oh, it's a turn out points. I thought they were like a town. So this is a town right here, and there's a city right here.
Servicing these jets, passenger jets, make it a factory that was from the United States.
Mountains in the background. Right?
By the United States, they thought maybe the U.S. was slow in implementing their side of the bargain, the U.S.'s side of the bargain, given what the agreement for Iran was. Came about after 12 years of negotiations. There were gaps in negotiations. And Obama decided, after Hunt was President Trump decided.
Yeah, but I want to go for some.
13 after Hunt was shot. It was very hard line.
Pick a cross here.
And it expanded.
Love on our swimsuits.
So both sides decided we have to put an end to this crisis because there were very heavy sanctions on Iran. We want those sanctions lifted. We want access to its own money, which was sitting in banks because of sanctions that were bigger than cash. And the U.S. wanted better guarantees beyond the words that we wanted to say that it wasn't there. So in these two negotiations, they were able to come to with France, Germany, Russia, China, and the European Union. They were able to come to an agreement whereby Iran restricted its uranium enrichment, shipped out excess uranium enrichment, shipped out excess heavy water to the Black and voluntarily,
I don't know how much it costs.
Steel also provides for more intrusive inspections of the supply chain, even tracking and dating.
That there can be some inspections.
How would plumbing work running through there? Through the stone, the plumbing, through running pipes through the stones and stuff like that. Plumbing and all that. Sure, they have water seated stuff.
There you can see all the ski, eh?
Oh yeah.
Look at all the ski slopes, Mom.
So they keep maintaining it, so somebody has to go up and down all the time to.
Yeah, someone has to go out, like make sure trees aren't growing and stuff.
Yeah.
I imagine, yeah, probably not every day, but. I mean, I know they do shut down in the off season, right?
That's a why should we not be able to do it? It's part of the line of the John Bolton yeah, it says all that stuff, but the whole point of this is they want to make Iran. A lot of people who are supposed to believe that Iran doesn't want people who are most generous in their analysis will say, yeah, they probably don't want Iran right now because that would just invite too much conflict. your sense that the agreement made under the Obama administration had effectively stopped weaponized? Yes,
I wonder how much one of those houses is.
Intelligence estimate had said that they had stopped it in 2003.
Still in your sunglasses?
Yeah, we're almost there. I'll just leave them on for now.
Just research. It wasn't actual real work of testing components and stuff like that, other than centrifuges. But yeah, I think it did. I think Iran saw this, at least the way they expressed it. We have no reason. This is the first step. The Supreme Court of Iran has said, we'll see about other issues in the U.S. This deal works. And to be better, then we talk about other issues. But clearly, this deal now hasn't worked. Like you're saying, we're not talking about other issues now because we can't even abide by this. What were the biggest benefits to Iran from that deal with Obama? Sanctions were getting to these partners back into Iran, jobs. I mean, it was a big boost for the economy. The cash that was sitting in Donald Trump was going on about $150 billion in cash and pallets that were shipped to Iran.
I withdrew from that horrible deal when they paid $150 billion to Iran. They paid $1.8 billion in cash, probably for hostage grenade. $150 billion. $1.8 billion in cash. What is that going to do? It was a horrible scheme. They gave $150 billion, and they used it to fund us. We gave them $1.8 billion in cash. Airplane loads of cash.
Well, that was because of the way the sanctions have been the only ways they did that. Their money just been sitting in escrows.
Oh, there's the metal part.
So Obama didn't just like taxpayers funds. No, we in fact still have some money sitting on it. So Donald Trump went to the Electoral College and then has some gap between that victory and taking office. What's going on in the Trump world regarding Iran at this point? Trump is campaigning.
I've been doing deals for a long time. I've been making lots of wonderful deals, great deals. That's what I do. Never, ever, ever in my life have I seen any transaction so incompetently negotiated as our deal with Iran.
It's itching. I'm not sure, based on people who've been through his cabinet, not necessarily the president, not necessarily the kind of hawks that think on this deal, more rational kind of
The things are still going, Rod.
What things?
When you cross over the mountains to go up to help you. Oh no, those are, what are they called? To transport you from one end.
Gondola?
Gondola?
Yeah. It's a tourist attraction. I was one of the things that I was thinking we might be able to do when we go here, but I'd like to see how much it is. We'll see. It's anything like the ice road, the Columbia ice field, fucking $109 each. Like,
that's crazy. And Abby was 46.
I think Abby was free. Up to 5 was free, I think.
I misheard.
Well, I think I said kids, but I didn't differentiate between Abby. Like Abby might have been free. I can't remember. I just remember it would have been like $500 for a family to go. That's all I remember thinking.
In 700 meters, turn left onto Lorimer Road.
We're not even graduated anyways. At all.
No.
Munchkins and snow boots and
intelligence services from other countries, Saudi, Israel, to provide more pressure. There's a lot we can do. We should do it. Our goal is
that one's too small. The yellow one.
In 300 meters, turn left onto Lorimer Road.
Before we get to the moment Bolton then becomes National Security Advisor, what had John Bolton's career been like with regard to Iran?
Turn left onto Lorimer Road.
He's been a bureaucrat for many, many years. Was at the State Department, was appointee to be the ambassador to the UN, couldn't get confirmed by the Senate, but Bush put him in a recess appointment. Always extremely, extremely hawkish when it came to the Middle East.
big supporter of the Iraq War, still to this day will say he thinks it was a good idea. Always thought that Iran should be the next country that the U.S. should confront. Since he left his post as ambassador to the UN, which I think was in 2000, since then he has
continue on current road for about 1 kilometer.
Time in at least 8 years that I've been coming to this event, I can say that we have a president of the United States who is completely and totally opposed to the regime in Tehran.
MEK is a group of Iranian opposition group that fought against Iran for Saddam Hussein during the Iran-Iraq War, which killed approximately 1 million people on both sides. They're generally despised, both in the diaspora, the Iranian diaspora, and inside Iran.
She fell asleep.
Helicopter landing.
In 700 meters, turn left onto Blackham Way.
Somebody hurt themselves up there, right? No?
Yeah, if someone's hurt themselves on the mountain, they need to get them down to the hospital right now. I saw why. I'm like, why is there like it said when red light flashing, restricted area, massive fine, whatever. Really? And they said helicopter landing, and I was like, what the fuck? Like a helicopter's gonna land in the middle of a street?
But you saw the big landing pad there.
Yeah.
In 300 meters, turn left onto Blackham Way. Turn left onto Blackham Way. In 500 meters, turn right onto Painted Cliff Road.
Or should we do get much up?
Well, not right away. We'll go in and we'll figure it out. Yeah. I'll see if I can get us in a suite.
Try to haggle. Not haggle, but you know what I mean.
I might even have a suite. I don't remember what I booked here.
Turn right onto Painted Cliff Road.
I just knew that this was one of the ones that couldn't change, and we got a steal of a deal on it.
Continue on current road for about 1
I don't know
kilometer.
if you're starting to get the impression that we're in, like, pretty serious. I'm just saying that I don't know if Jay's getting the impression that we're in a pretty serious hotel area, but I am.
I could see, like there's a 4-star freaking resort, Ronnie. 4-star resort right there.
There's no dives in this place, that's for sure.
In 700 meters, the destination is on your right.
What's it called?
Blackcomb Resorts. I was pretty sure this was going to be the nicest place that we would stay at.
We're going to be up in the freaking mountain. What did you say, Rod? Black something back.
Blackcomb Resort or something.
Blackcomb Resort. And it's a roundabout too. Whoa! Oh my gosh, we're gonna stay there. What? It's like right on the top of the freaking hill. Is there
You have arrived at your destination. Your route guidance is finished.
Yeah, so who's gonna stay with lunch?
Well, I'm gonna help load.
No, let's not get ahead of ourselves. It might not be here.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
I understand.
This is just a big place, and there's big valleys and places, different annex they call them. Look at the gardens, the flowers. It's gorgeous. And pink flowers at the back. They're petunias, I think. I don't know what they are. Peonies or something.
No, I don't know the flowers that very well. Very nice.
Oh, I love a garden like that. I hope they have a restaurant here. We'll have to go out after them. If you don't, you sure they will though, eh? You don't know.
You know, I might be a restaurant here. Yeah, you just don't know, right? You're right.